A real quick shout out to the guest speakers on the Pixel Panel episodes of Retro Reloaded. These are heroes that don't wear capes, but maybe some of them they do. They've been filling in for me doing episodes each week so that Retro Reloaded thrives while my voice problems cease to exist for months. Thank you all for being such a great community. Also, quick shout out to our grandstanding 64-bit legend Zero for being such a great supporter of the show. Mega Man should be jealous of the camaraderie. Then at the 16-bit adventurer tier, we have many longtime warriors, including Marcus Q, Gage, Tetrafolly, and Oriok. Then we can't forget our 8-bit explorer time with longtime supporters such as Wabi Yurt, Ware Coon Warden, Gaming Quarterly, Big Nick Dika. Again, thank you for everything.
Hey there! Welcome to Retro Reloaded. I'm your host Lance, and each week I tackle a retro game shaped by your picks. If you want a chance to choose next week's game or unlock exclusive bonus episodes and polls, join me on Patreon at patreon.com/retroreloaded. There's even a free tier to dip your toes in. Big thanks for all of your love and support. It means the world to me. Now let's hit the start button and reload those retro vibes.
Hello, everybody. My name is SummerSetBanjo, otherwise known as Sunnyside. Lanceroy was nice enough to let me guest host today's episode of the Pixel Panel. Today we have 3 great guests with us on our show today, and we might have a couple more joining us later into this episode's program. So let's get loaded for our retro vibes and Retro Reloaded. Today's episode we are going to be talking about the Star Fox franchise. It's not going to be a real in-depth, just kind of more of a casual chat about the different games in the franchise. So, to begin, let's introduce each one of our guests. All right, our first guest is Mr. Mo. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself first?
Hello everyone, I'm Mo. I know, a very short name, but you get the point. I'm a Little Big Planet enthusiast, Undertale enthusiast, Nine in the Woods enthusiast, Star Fox enthusiast, of course, that's why I'm here. And I do lots of other than that. You know, that's a very, very, very basic introduction. You could find me on Steam as Mohamed Lesmeri 16, that is MOHANADALASMRI 16. I'm also on YouTube, same name. Not the same Steam name, this name, Mo. And that's about it.
Miss RinoDino, why don't you go ahead and you introduce yourself?
Alright, hello everybody, my name is RinoDino, or RinoDino, whatever floats your boat. And I am a simple video gamer who likes to play a ton of games, but also occasionally watches movies, the occasional anime, whenever I feel like it, and dabble in a lot of music, especially jazz fusion. I have a backlogged page, which is kind of similar to Letterboxd, but for video games, at RinoDino. And I also have a YouTube page that's at RinoDino64. There are no H's, and the R and D are capitalized. I'm happy to be here, and I do know a little bit of Star Fox, and have dabbled in the franchise many times in my life, having played some of the games.
Gosh darn it, I should have said that.
Alright, and our next guest is Zero. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience today?
Hello, everyone. I'm Zero. I'm just basically an average gamer. I don't really have anything social. I don't post anything, but I do like to talk about video games, and I know quite a bit about Star Fox. I've been playing Star Fox since 64 came out, and I hope to be able to chat along here.
Excellent. And then there's me, SummerSetBanjo. You can find me on YouTube, where I do various videos on video games, most of which are of the Star Fox variety, though I am trying to expand to other games too. I also have a Twitter that I sometimes use, a DeviantArt account that I rarely use, but I still have, and I also have a Ko-fi account in case you wish to support my efforts in creating more content for my YouTube channel. Anyway, I am a longtime Star Fox enthusiast. Star Fox 64 was one of the first games I ever played. And, well, I am also working on a upcoming Star Fox webcomic, which I hope to show you guys off in the near future. All right, so let's begin. Let's start with the very first Star Fox game, Star Fox for the Super Nintendo, also otherwise known as Star Wing in the PAL regions. Let's talk about this one a little bit.
So, who wants to start?
I guess I'll start. I have a bit of memories. While the original Star Fox is not a game that I've played a whole bunch, I have since experienced it thanks to the Super Nintendo Nintendo Switch Online app, or Nintendo Classics as it's now known. And I remember decently enjoying it, but I did not play all the routes. So I did not get to experience the ball-bossingly hard route-free playthrough, which I have heard about plenty, and how much it can be very hard. But besides that, I do enjoy the process behind it, how it included the Super FX chip and revolutionized, and it was able to get 3D graphics onto a 16-bit console, which was mind-blowing at the time, even if the cartridge cost more than the usual Super Nintendo game. I also find it interesting that it originally started out as an NES game, called NES Glider. It was basically a prototype to test out the 3D, and it was developed alongside Argonaut Games, which actually recently came back with a Croc, The Legend of the Gobos remaster. This is pretty cool. But there was also another preceding game. This one actually came out called X. It's Japanese exclusive, but it came out on Game Boy and in many ways a precursor to Star Fox. So much, and it eventually would get its own sequel on the Nintendo DSi Workshop called Escape, or 3D Space Tank as it's known in Power Regions, which I don't know why it's called that. But I would like to play that X game someday, and Escape, from where I played it, was decently fun. But talking about Star Fox, one of the things I just really enjoy about the game, besides the simple art wing and the classic lines like "Do a barrel roll," which that wasn't a thing until '64, is really just the characters and how Miyamoto decided to go about things. Like, let's make them anthropomorphic animals and fly through space while your teammates barely do. It's just a nice sense of camaraderie. Again, they barely do, but camaraderie, the team, yeah.
Well, for me, I didn't even know that the original Super Nintendo Star Fox game even existed until around the time of Brawl's release, where they actually included some callbacks to it and included a short little demo of it on the flashback section of it. My first Star Fox game was Star Fox 64, and so up until that point, I didn't know there was a game preceding that. For me, I have played a little bit of the original Star Fox game. I think it is a fine game. It's definitely a technical masterpiece for the Super Nintendo, but it also has kind of aged like milk. I think it's kind of hard to make things out due to the low resolution and the untextured polygons, and well, there's also just some early installment jank in it that got ironed out by 64's release. But there's still a lot of good charm with that game. It still definitely has that pick up and play quality, and it also has a really good soundtrack. Funny enough, the guy that made the soundtrack for the original Star Fox went on to form one of the first companies to ever create ringtones for cell phones.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. The reason why he left Nintendo was because of disputes with the company when it came to royalties. When it came to music royalties between himself and Nintendo, and so that's why he left to spin off his own company and
classic.
Makes
of course, it was about disputes.
So that's kind of what my general thoughts on the game. Of course, one of the other interesting things is it's the only Star Fox game where your crew has kind of permadeath. If you lose Falco in one of the levels, that's it. He's gone for the rest of that run.
What is this, Fire Emblem?
Zero, do you have any thoughts?
So this game I didn't really have much experience with because, well, I'm as old as this game, so when it came out, I really couldn't play it. Let's see. My first experience with the first Star Fox game was I actually saw it in a retro game store, and I decided to buy it just to try it because I knew it was like a technical marvel of the Super FX chip, and I wanted to see the origins of Star Fox. And let me tell you, the jank is there. It's a proof of. It feels like a real proof of concept, but with the technical marvels that it did, you could really tell that the controller wasn't meant for it. And depth perception be danged. You can't really see what's coming at you or how close you are or what's going to hit you. But all in all, it was a pretty interesting experience to play. I hesitate to recommend it to somebody who wants to play it, who has no experience with that SNES jank, but I do recommend if you really want to see the origins of this franchise.
There's also Rewind on the Super Nintendo app, so there's also that to ease in the pain.
I agree.
Also, slow down.
That's true. True.
I agree. It's
and of
janky,
course-
so it's not for. I agree. It's janky, so it's not for those who don't have much patience.
Indeed.
One of the, I actually got recently got it for the Super Nintendo, and I've been playing through it a little bit, and it's definitely a challenge. And I would certainly recommend it through either playing it through like NSO or through your preferred form of emulation, rather than trying to play it like originally as intended, just because the game kind of benefits from some quality of life improvements, including faster frame rates or rewind function. There is, however, a pretty good ROM hack for it called Star Fox EX, if anybody's interested in that.
What does
Star
it do?
Fox EX.
Well, from what I recall, Star Fox EX basically tries to push further what you could do with the original FX chip, and also adds, about 3 or 4 new routes, and as well as a brand new story to it, where the Star Fox team has to go against other Nintendo characters. And it also includes all the original levels from Star Fox as well. And it also includes 60 frames per second, and also pretty much every ship from the franchise. So if you wanted to play like the Assault version of the R-Wing in low poly SNES graphics, you can do that. If you want to play like the 64 version of the R-Wing in like low poly Super Nintendo graphics, you can, and so on and so forth.
Good.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I will say this, even though the original game suffered from a lot of slowdown, from my understanding, it was built around that. So
Yeah.
I am concerned if making the game 60 frames per second could make things a bit too fast, a bit too difficult for people to read it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not much of a frame rate person. I mean, I grew up with the 64. As long as, if it's low frame rate, as long as it's a consistently low frame rate, that's fine with me.
I agree. It's one of those things that I also, it's like, might as well give that warning out there for anybody who is more picky with those kinds of things.
All right. So, how would you all kind of rate this particular Star Fox game? Like for your how you personally feel about it, and how you would feel about it for if a newcomer was coming into the franchise.
I'm actually hugely relieved that we were able to talk about emulation here, because I was actually kind of chickening out of saying how I actually was able to play it. But it's good we can talk about that. Anyways, I would rate it... do we have to give a metric, out of 5 or out of 10 or something like that?
Perhaps. If you want to provide a number to it, it's fine, but you don't have to.
I could give it a 3 out of 5 because I really liked the music. I mean, could I say my experience about the game?
Yeah.
That's kind of what this podcast is for, to share our thoughts, experiences, and so on.
Oh, well. Okay. So, it was the second one that I played. 64 was the guinea pig that I used for first testing the emulation, I had a MacBook at the time, so the only one that I kind of trusted was OpenAU. So I tried that. It ran smoothly, like smoother than I expected. So even though, and I probably shouldn't say this, it took me 20 days to actually finish 64 because I was so unused to the so unhip to the controls themselves that the normal mode, the easy mode, was kind of hard for me. So after like, I don't remember, probably 2 months, I got into the first Star Fox game. Now, I did have a background about how janky it's gonna be, how pixelated it's gonna be, but it was still kind of fun. I had like my room without any lights and like with a small light in the corner, and just played through the whole thing with the music going all like. It was NES music, of course. Yeah, that's the obvious part. But I didn't expect the music to actually be that good. I mean, there was this boss fight that I forgot about, the one that was spinning. What was its name? The one that is spinning, and it was like that had like shards around it. What was that boss's name?
Are you talking about the Meteor Crusher?
It was all orangey and red. I think it wasn't Venom. It wasn't Venom. It was like the first it was the second. It was the second stage.
Was it Asteroid Field?
It was after Asteroid. Yeah. The Asteroid Field. The music in that was actually phenomenal. I mean, I'll give it that. But the game was. It took some getting used to, but I admit I liked the coziness of the old '93 music. You know, like when you were at that control room, testing out what controls you're comfortable with. The music that plays during that section is like one of my favorite Star Fox songs, like unironically, because it's cozy, you know, it's space cozy, that kind of thing. Now, of course, I did eventually complete the game, but ironically, I completed it at a faster pace than I did with 64, which is the ironic part is that it is harder than 64, which is what a lot of people agree with. That's it.
Who's next?
I guess I'll go. For me, I think I would rate it like it's a decent game, like a 6 out of 10, I guess. I normally don't like do numbers, but I guess I'll do it this time, which is it's a decent game, but it's definitely aged. Slowdown doesn't help, and I think generally my experience with the game, while not big, it's one of those that get yourself start with the first round, level 1, so you can get used to it because it's the easier one. Then go to level 2. Then, if you really think you can handle the challenge, go to level 3. But be prepared to get kicked in the ass, or so I've heard. But I think using stuff like NSO emulation and stuff like save states and rewind can definitely help if you think the game is too hard. That might also help with later games, but from what I understand, the later games are not nearly as difficult. Like, I don't hear many people say that Assault is as difficult as the original. Times have changed by then, you know, and difficulty was no longer a kick to the nuts. So, I'd say
I like your terminology.
The Star Fox is an interesting starter. Not necessarily the game I would recommend. I mean, everybody would recommend 64. But Star Fox 1, I think it's an interesting one to look back on, especially when you start to realize that the original Star Fox was actually technically not re-released until the Super Nintendo Classic and Nintendo Switch Online, because the Wii and Wii U Virtual Consoles services never re-released the game, because back then they didn't really emulate Super FX chip stuff. Very curious to think about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go ahead and give my thoughts on it next. I agree with RinoDino on the 6 out of 10. Because it is a really entertaining game in short bursts, but it starts wearing thin when you're constantly running into things and slow down. But otherwise, it is a very enjoyable experience, and I do recommend trying it at least once.
Indeed.
Yeah, and like I said, I definitely kind of recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it as your first Star Fox game, but I would certainly recommend giving it a try. because, it holds a lot of like historic value. And, there's a lot of retro enthusiasts out there that actually like the low poly SNES aesthetics. I will say one of my favorite music tracks in the original Star Fox game is, the credits theme at the very end. It probably has one of the best credits themes in the franchise outside of Star Fox 64's credits themes. It's really cool where it like showcases all the different enemies and bosses, and it has like this cool staff credit roll and stuff. So it's a really cool track for the Super Nintendo sound hardware.
I think we could
I
argue that the main theme
forgot about
itself. We could argue that the main theme itself is actually really, really good.
Yeah.
As in the title theme or Corneria?
The title theme, it plays throughout the entire game, like just that little motif. But I think it's actually one of the catchier ones, and actually sticks with me quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of sounds more badass than the actual theme you do get at 64.
Yeah. Fun fact, I think it was actually, it was either Deltarune or Undertale that Toby Fox actually used some of the Star Fox music tracks as placeholders until he composed his own stuff.
Interesting.
That's Undertale because Undertale was the guinea pig, and he wouldn't. And after he completed Undertale, he wouldn't use things like that. They, even though the ideas for Deltarune were well enough before Undertale, like since 2012. I think it was more Undertale than Deltarune, since Undertale was the guinea pig after all.
Yeah. It's just a little bit of trivia that, it got used as a placeholder for a brief time. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much all we have to say about the Super Nintendo Star Fox game, Star Fox 1. It did have a lot of interesting ancillary material. I mean, there was the Benjamin Ito tie-in comics for the Nintendo Power, which was a very, very interesting take on the franchise. Definitely a little bit more grungy, a little bit more kind of a Robin Hood-esque take to it.
Found it hilarious.
Yes. Also, there was, several other untranslated manga that are pretty good in their own right. There was also the Mission File book, which never got released in the States, but basically served as the original kind of lore book for the Star Fox franchise. And thankfully, there's fans on Reddit that managed to translate some of the more important sections of it. And there's some fascinating stuff in it, like the implication that the Star Fox universe is set within the same timeline as F-Zero and Metroid. Just the earliest point in the timeline.
I mean, the closest thing you can get to that is Super Smash Bros.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For context, for any listener that's wondering what on earth I'm talking about, is in the Mission File book, there's a couple of dates that are listed of certain events in the mission guide, and they are given the designation of Cosmic Calendar, like 200 and something. And Cosmic Calendar is the same calendar system that both Metroid and F-Zero use as well. Metroid, I think, is set in the Cosmic Calendar 2000s, and F-Zero is set in the 2500 of the Cosmic Calendar. And like I said, in contrast, Star Fox is in the Cosmic Calendar year of the 200s. So that leads me to believe, at least, that they're all supposed to be part of the same universe. Or at least that was the intention at the time. Although, obviously, by the time Metroid comes around, it would be like Fox's great-great-great-great-grandchildren that would be running around by that point. Anyway, so... Yeah, Star Fox was the... I think Star Fox 1 was the second highest selling game in the franchise. And now we're going to move on to the next game, which is Star Fox Game & Watch. Who's all here played Star Fox Game & Watch?
No.
Wait,
Definitely not
what?
me.
Wait,
Yes.
I've never heard of that.
Yes.
Me neither.
So shortly after the release of Star Fox on the Super Nintendo, Nintendo released a Game & Watch version of Star Fox that was shaped like an actual kind of like wristwatch kind of thing. and it's a little LCD thing, and it's basically like a very short like recreation of the Corderia level, and you dodge a few buildings, shoot a few enemies, and then you go up against the attack carrier, and then it just kind of loops back to the beginning again, where you do it again, except it's a little bit faster and harder.
I can't help but think playing on a watch is kind of uncomfortable to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if people can play Doom on their watches, then I think people can tolerate this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
now it's considered to be extremely rare, and so most people don't even know it exists. But some people have managed to track it down and collect it. And I believe Jetter 06 is actually trying to do a recreation of it as I think like a Unity engine game that he's working on. They'll basically recreate the Game & Watch version of Star Fox.
Preservation, let's go.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
Right now. Just
Hell yeah.
Just why not?
Yes. So now we'll move on to our actual next game, which is Star Fox 2 for the Super Nintendo. Which of you would like to begin on that?
Start on that one.
Okay.
So Star Fox 2, my experience with that started actually as a ROM. So this was before the finalized ROM. It was still untranslated, but that's how I played. I had no idea what was going on because I could not read Japanese, but I figured it out somehow, some way. But such a weird change of pace from a on-rails shooter to this strategy game.
Yeah, yes, it is very much a deviation from what you would imagine a follow-up to Star Fox would be, but do keep in mind, the Starglider prototype, one of the earliest prototypes, did originally envision free roaming areas. They just couldn't really get the FX1 chip to really do it the justice that they were hoping. But with the advent of the FX2 chip, they wanted to revisit that early prototype concept.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Star Fox 2 was the last project that was being worked on by Argonaut before Nintendo and Argonaut parted ways.
Big sad.
Yeah. Of course, even during the development of Star Fox 2, the relationship between Argonaut and Nintendo was already kind of deteriorating. Argonaut felt like that Nintendo was starting to poach its staff, and Nintendo basically felt like that Argonaut was being, increasingly hostile to them.
To be honest, I kind of figured that would be coming, considering that one is a Japanese company, the other is an American company.
Set the pot to the kettle.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Argonaut was a British company. They were located in England.
Okay, but I do feel like that kind of tension would eventually come, considering of different cultural policies and how different cultures naturally have different environments around them. I know that Rare did go on for a while, but considering the Nintendo never really bought Rare, while Rare needed the money to really survive in the 6th generation of consoles, yeah.
Yeah. Most of Star Fox 2's team is pretty much the same people that worked on Star Fox 1, except with a few additional people. They had a different composer and they had a different lead artist. Takeya Imamura was actually busy on a different project. He was like on Stunt Racer FX. And by the time he learned that Star Fox 2 had been greenlit into production, they had already selected a different lead artist for the project. So pretty much all that Imamura had to contribute was the Star Wolf concept. And then he had basically nothing to do. And so he went on and on his own started work on what would eventually become Star Fox 64. But that's kind of a different topic for a little bit later in this episode. But yeah, and so other than that, Gilles Goddard and Dylan Cuthbert were involved with Star Fox 2. And from what I understand, both of them absolutely enjoyed working on Star Fox 2. They both men actually had really great experiences working with Nintendo. Nintendo essentially kind of rolled out the red carpet for a lot of the Argonaut crew that went to assist on both Star Fox games, which might explain some of the Argonaut company's hostility because they felt like their people were being poached. But no, they had a good time with working on the game, and they really wanted to kind of explore more of the free roaming aspects of it. They went through, of course, a number of different builds. And of course, a lot of those builds got released. Now, interesting enough, I think the earliest Star Fox 2 builds got leaked in the early 2000s, around like 2001 or 2002.
Interesting. Not that long after the game released.
Well, it took 20 years before it did release.
Yeah, I mean, it officially got released in 2017. Originally, it was intended for a 1995 release, and then it got pushed to 1996. One of the interesting things is while Nintendo kind of postponed releasing it, they strongly thought about releasing it anyway, but they were just... Well, first of all, it was kind of a catch-22 because the 64 was meant to release earlier and it just wasn't ready for showtime. And then they were also kind of concerned about how it would be like outcompeted by the 3D that the PlayStation 1 could produce. And so they really kind of felt like a rock and a hard place because manufacturing Super FX chips, Super FX2 chips was expensive. And so they basically told the team is like, look, there's a good chance we're not going to release it, but we want you to bring it to completion anyway and bring it all the way through QA just in case we change our minds at the last minute. That's why a lot of the builds that we have are basically nearly complete because they didn't know if they were actually going to release it or not.
Gotta be a little bit deflating for the developers now, will it? It's like you're working on something and you're not even sure if your product will actually get out to the consumer. That definitely is not really a good motivator for the developers, at least I'd say.
Yeah,
and looking at Sega Saturn's history, it's kind of a mistake to try to copy things from Sony PlayStation because that's. I mean, getting kind of competitive with anything is going to be kind of a problem, but in such a situation, it could probably bring some problems, like with games and stuff. Like when the Sega Saturn came out, there was barely any games. Even Sonic's games weren't on it because they were trying to beat PlayStation in terms of release. And it only sold like 9 million copies.
I will say that the Sega Saturn's history does go a little bit deeper than that, but that is best to say for another day. Sega Saturn, my beloved, I will never forgive you. I forget you.
So,
I love Sega Saturn.
I mean, it's an okay device. Yeah.
My general thoughts is I absolutely love Star Fox 2. It's probably, it's definitely up there in terms of my favorite Star Fox games. Basically, I think it has a lot of improvements over Star Fox 1 in terms of gameplay. And I think it plays a lot better than Star Fox 1. And I really kind of like the mixture of arcade action and, well, randomization it has. It almost, in a way, almost feels like a roguelike. But anyway, Zero, why don't you go ahead and chime in your thoughts?
Me?
Zero.
With it being sorry about that. With it being a strategy game, and one could argue even a real-time strategy, since any move that you do, there's still things happening out in the overworld map. So you have to really time what you're doing, how long you're taking on the planets, and making sure that the missiles are not going to hit Corneria. So there's a lot to plan for, and it's super overwhelming if you're coming from the first game. But overall, I think it was a very interesting direction for it to go, and I'd argue it's a lot more entertaining, but definitely not something that's easy to plan for if you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely has a steep learning curve, but I will say that more of its difficulty comes from intentional design than actual jank.
Definitely, but that lock-on issue, yeah.
Interesting. Whenever I hear,
due to that stuff, it was actually the last Star Fox game I did play because it took me a bit of a while to actually understand what I'm doing. I was disoriented. Like I was disoriented even in the combat. I was flipping all over the place, and Wolf was just coming from behind me and just shooting up and then flying up like to the far left, and I just turned very slowly and tried to kill the damn guy.
And definitely those all range sections were tough.
Oh yeah. Now, one of the things that is very interesting is originally Star Fox 2 was going to be the first game with a multiplayer mode. So the builds that have leaked over the years actually include a 2-player deathmatch mode.
Interesting.
Also,
tank performance though.
Yeah. Well, from what I've seen, I don't have that particular build with the multiplayer, but what I've seen online, the multiplayer deathmatch mode is pretty functional for the most part.
Interesting.
Another interesting thing is the game went through a lot of concepts on who some of the new pilots would be in the game. Of course, we eventually ended up with Miyu Swift and Faye Sinclair. But originally there was other ideas being bandied about. There was originally a female pig character. At one point, Algie was going to be a Star Fox pilot instead of a Star Wolf pilot.
So Miss Piggy was
of course,
be a
you
pilot.
also have the and so there was a female pig. There was also, of course, the famous human that was uncovered in the Giga Leak. And even at one point, they looked like they were actually thinking about making Farah an actual pilot for Star Fox 2.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know how I
And-
feel like if sticking a random human in there.
Sure.
Yeah, that would be hard to explain, actually.
Yeah. There is some theories that the human was actually just simply like a placeholder. They were just trying to like figure out how portraits, in-game portraits would look and stuff. I know that the artist that they had work on Star Fox 2, I think, was definitely more of a human artist, and so they might have just did a human sprite first just to kind of familiarize themselves with the tech. But that's just a theory.
A game theory.
A game theory. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
But I know at one point they were even actually...
I miss that guy.
I know at one point they were even thinking about having a different villain instead of Andros for Star Fox 2. Early on, it looks like they were even thinking about having like a cyborg dinosaur as the big bad for the game.
Dinosaur.
Well,
Yes, it was
All the stuff we could have gotten.
Yeah, it was a blue dinosaur with like white hair and cybernetic implants, and there's even like a barely functional boss model of it too. But yeah,
will come.
so yes, so Star Fox 2, I think, was a very ambitious game. I think it's a bit of a shame that it didn't come out when it did. I mean, I know that probably for business reasons it made sense not to. But I know that Star Fox 2 was considered to be one of the most hyped games to be released at the time. There was a lot of magazine and news coverage of it, and I know that it got so close to being released that some stores were already making pre-orders in anticipation of its manufacturing.
What happened when they canceled?
It got canceled. I mean, they never sent it to manufacturing, so...
I mean, yeah, but what happened to the guys who pre-ordered it? Like, did they get their money back? Or
well, I'm sure they got refunded.
Hopefully. Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. But, interesting enough, I actually learned more about Star Fox 2 sooner than I actually learned about the original Star Fox game. Because way back in the day, when I was like a little kid, there was a retro game store. And they actually... at this retro game store, they were selling like a repo copy of Star Fox 2. Oh golly, back in like 2003 or whatever, and they even had made their own like Super Nintendo cardboard box for it as well. Of course, I was like when I was like a little kid at the time, and it was like Star Fox 2. What's that? Why is it on the previous console? I didn't buy it at the time, of course, because I was just a little kid and I didn't have a Super Nintendo. A couple of years ago, at a comic book convention, somebody else was selling a repo of Star Fox 2, and that's how I finally got my own copy of it.
Hey,
Nice.
cool story.
Yeah. And it's cool as this repo actually has like the official like art that they had for like the 2017 release on it, and
Ooh.
it looks really
that's
really
pretty
nice. Yeah.
You could sell it for millions on eBay. Collector's guys.
So yeah. Also, I think the soundtrack for this game is really good too. I actually kind of prefer Star Wolf's theme in Star Fox 2 over his actual official theme in the later games.
Fair. I haven't listened to it yet, but I do want to.
My memory is very foggy of it.
Play Star Fox 2 one day.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's on YouTube if you guys ever want to give it a listen.
Yeah.
So-
need to play Star
Called
Fox 2.
Surprise Attack or something.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not really called like the Star Wolf theme, but I think if you just search Star Wolf theme, you'll be able to find it.
Yeah.
So, closing thoughts on
my
Star
memory
Fox
about it-
2.
My memory of it is
Go ahead.
very foggy because my memory of it is very foggy because I played it in somebody's guest room for.
Okay. So, closing thoughts on the on Star Fox 2. Do you recommend it for newcomers? How do you feel about it? Any other thoughts you have on this game?
I recommend as well start because I personally don't have experience with Star Fox 2, but I have seen plenty of coverage on it over the years. And it does seem like a better sequel to the original Star Fox, even with the still having to slow down. I mean, at that point, you can't really do anything about it. I think the new strategy elements are pretty unique, but I also find, from what I've heard, this game is actually kind of easy and can be in like half an hour, which is very intriguing. But it's also like, hey, short and easy pick up and play game where you can just take on Andros and bite-sized missions and then bam, you're done. Unless you're playing the harder difficulties, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was shocked by that. When I came back to it after I played the all of the other games, I actually did beat it in like half an hour. So I was pretty weirded out. I was like sitting in somebody's guest room and I had the laptop on. I was bored. So I was like, okay, this is the only game that's left, and I actually beat it in half an hour. I was like, what the hell? I mean, that's. I mean, is that how easy it actually is? I was so suspicious by that I actually thought I missed something.
Definitely, it's a game that I do recommend that people try out. With the idea of you're not going to go into it like any other Star Fox game. You are really playing more of a strategy game. So your mentality going into the game has to be ready to plan for future actions rather than just hit it like a standard Star Fox game.
Yes. I would have to say that Star Fox 2 is definitely one of my favorite Star Fox games up there. I really like the randomized nature of it. No two playthroughs of Star Fox 2 is ever going to be the same because certain bosses spawn differently. The AI, will sometimes play out differently, and of course, you might just have bad RNG and make things really hard for yourself. I really like how pick up and play it is, how fast paced it is, and its replayability. Now, would this been the ideal sequel to Star Fox? It's kind of hard to say, but I know that hindsight's 2020. A lot of people looking back on it really like it, especially given how the nature of gaming is these days with like roguelikes and other things out there. There's definitely kind of an audience and a market for it. I'm not sure there would have been back in 95 or 96, but back in the mid to late 90s, it was the Wild West. There was tons of experimentation when it comes to gaming. And this Star Fox 2 was definitely a clear example of that experimentation.
The Wild West.
Absolutely. Hee-haw.
All right, so I think the next game we'll talk about is Star Fox 64, and also by extension,
Hell yeah.
64 3D.
Let us go.
All right, so to kind of do a brief intro on this game, this is the first video game I ever owned. and probably the second or third video game I ever played in my life. It's very near and dear to me. It's also my favorite game in the franchise, and definitely one of my favorite games of all time. Interesting enough, about Star Fox 64, it basically kind of started off as essentially as kind of a pet project. After Amura found that he didn't really have a place on the Star Fox 2 production, him and a couple of people that worked on A Link to the Past found that they had no projects of themselves to work on, but they had access to the Star Fox 64 dev kits. So at first, they were experimenting with just porting Star Fox 1 and an early build of Star Fox 2 onto the 64 hardware. And when they found that it worked and it actually played pretty well, they started working on kind of a Star Fox prototype built from the ground up for the 64. And it definitely is kind of like a story of a little engine that could. Not a lot of people at Nintendo had faith in this Star Fox 64 project. And even Miyamoto was encouraging Imamura to kind of just move on from the project and actually join the Mario 64 project because it needed people. But Imamura persevered, and they eventually created a proof of concept demo that only could work for all of like 20 seconds before it would crash. But they showed it off anyway, and apparently was so impressive that Miyamoto and several of the other higher-ups were basically slack-jawed by how much these two individuals were able to pull off in just like a 6-month period. And after that, they essentially greenlit a Star Fox 64 project. And it was also pretty fortuitous that happened because it was right around that time that they finally killed the Star Fox 2 project. No coincidence, but I mean, it was a mere coincidence that happened, by the way. But, it was good timing, nonetheless, that they were able to immediately start work on a new Star Fox project for the new console. And Miyamoto was heavily involved with it. Imura, even though he wasn't credited as director, he was heavily involved in the writing of it, the art design of it, and he worked very much on like the background lore and stuff, including revising a few things he had issues with in the original Star Fox game. This was also the very first game that Nintendo ever made that they decided that going forward, they would start needing to have like a dedicated writing staff for their games, because it dawned on them that, hey, as games are advancing, they're becoming more story-driven, so we're actually going to need to start hiring actual writers for our games. Another interesting little tidbit. Another interesting tidbit is originally they actually had to fight really hard to get voice acting for Star Fox 64. Miyamoto and Amura felt like that was an important feature for the game, but the executives at Nintendo were like, they were like, why do you want voice acting for that? I mean, have you heard voice acting in the other games? It's not that good. And it's like, that's also a waste of like memory that can be served for other things. And so in order to actually prove to the Nintendo execs, they basically made two separate builds of Star Fox 64. One with voice acting, with Miyamoto and Amura voicing pretty much all the characters. And then another version where it was just like the gibberish speech from like Star Fox 1. And they presented both to the execs, and the execs were like, okay, you win. Go ahead and have your voice acting. And so they hired some voice actors for it.
That's actually awesome to hear, because the voice acting in Star Fox 64 is definitely one of the most best aspects about it. Because while it is not one of the greatest gaming voice actors of all time, it is iconic. It is nice to listen to.
Yeah.
There's a lot of quotable lines in it, like "Can't let you do that, Star Fox." I quote that all the time whenever I think about this game. It's such a memorable aspect about it.
I thought they had me.
The voice acting is just so memorable in this game. It's so quotable. To the point where my brother and I would just randomly quote, "I can't stop it!" And it's just, despite how bad or how arguably bad you could call it, it really felt like a something you would hear out of a Saturday morning cartoon or anything like that. So
it's cheap.
It's really entertaining.
Very sincere. It's very sincere and entertaining. And Yeah, I didn't mean to hog up so much airtime. Go ahead and you guys start talking about the game.
Can I start?
I guess I'll go first. And oh, then go ahead, Mo.
All right. Now this is an interesting game compared to the other ones. I mean, yeah, it's the flagship. I mean, yeah, it's the flagship, and it's one of the later ones that did have polygons. I'm saying the obvious here, but now it is the first Star Fox game I did play. Now, did the voice was the voice acting cheesy? I mean, yeah, you could say that, but they did a good job for a '90s game. You can admit that. Now, for the unpopular opinion, was it actually true that Slippy was absolutely useless? Of course not. I mean, the guy shoots well, and he made the goddamn submarine thing that you use in Aquas. But now it was interesting to actually have more clearly connected routes. You know, you could just follow Falco to the other side and go to the hard route instead, or you could just go the normal route and have the guy yell at you, "My Emperor, I failed you," and all that shit he was actually doing. But now the music was good, but as Sunny had said, the original theme for Star Wolf was a tad more badass than what we would have than the whimsical stuff we would later on be getting. I would say this is the game that did tell me that, yeah, this is a franchise to actually stick to.
That's cool to hear. It's cool to hear. As for me, Star Fox 64 was one of those games that I'd heard about for years. I knew everybody loved it. It was considered the best Star Fox game, and I knew that I eventually wanted to try it. But I never really felt like buying the game as much as other games back on the Wii U Virtual Console. The Wii U Virtual Console that I ended up buying Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, Donkey Kong 64. Never really beat that one. Ocarina of Time, and eventually Sin and Punishment. That's because of other reasons. But and also because I love that game so much. But for Star Fox 64, it would take me till getting it on Nintendo Switch Online to finally play it. And it was during like a Christmas party, a Christmas family gathering, where the rest of my family was discussing shit that I absolutely didn't give a fuck about. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be playing on here for like a few hours, and I enjoyed the game. I was even able to get the best ending, thanks to a route that I sort of had a mental image on how to do, thanks to some playthroughs that I'd seen of the game before. And it was really fun. I mean, this is definitely a game that it's been quite some time since I've played it, so I do definitely want to revisit it and maybe do a review on backlog. But it's a game that I remember very much enjoying, and I hope and there's a lot of stuff I remember really liking. I mean, yes, guys, you know, Star Wolf theme may be better in Star Fox 2, but the one in 64 is so iconic. Like, I get that. It's so nice to listen to. Although I will say that the majority of the soundtrack in 64, I don't remember it that much. Like, there's a few themes that I remember, like the menu theme and the credits theme, but many themes overall that I remember. But the gameplay is really smooth. Controlling and arguing just feels nice. The characters, the voice acting, the stage variety, the fight against Andros, like it's all solid. It's a really solid Unreal shooter, and that's why I can easily see why it's considered the best in the series. Even if I really want to play Assault, because Assault really looks like the type of game that I would love. But
Didn't play Assault?
I've played part of Assault, not all of Assault.
Assault is awesome.
I need to play it.
I really love Koji Kondo was the one that made the soundtrack for Star Fox 64, and there's a lot of tracks in this game I really love. I love the Zonus theme. I love the Boss B track. Of course,
the Asteroid Field. The Asteroid Field theme is phenomenal.
Yes.
Oh, almost forgot. I love Medio. Medio is a good song.
Yes. And of course, I absolutely enjoy almost all the bosses in this game. My favorite, probably my favorite in the game is Macbeth, with the train boss and stuff. I really like how the Landmaster feels and plays in this game, and I really just like the train conductor as this overall foe in that level. He has a really cool voice in that. Me and my father kind of quote him all the time. You know that here comes those little hyenas right now. Yeah.
Star Fox 64 is definitely an iconic game. For me, when I played this game, we rented it quite a bit because at the time I wasn't living in the US. So I wasn't able to actually purchase this game, but we were able to rent it. And we would rent it almost every weekend we had an opportunity to. And it wasn't until the mid 2000s that I actually bought a copy of the game. And to this day, it is a game that I go back to quite a bit. It's probably my most played N64 game as a whole. Just overall, it's such an easy game to go back to. It's almost like a comfort game. The music is very memorable to me. Like you said, Sonny, Zonas is an awesome theme. Corneria really sets the tone. Sector X is so ominous sounding. That's one of my favorite tracks. The voice acting is iconic. It's fun to quote at just random times. And it serves for a lot of in-jokes between me and my brother. And just controls-wise, it's very impressive on the N64, which is arguably an uncomfortable controller. But I would actually disagree on the Landmaster, because the Landmaster, it really does feel like a tank, and the frame rate is just fighting it the entire time. I would say Macbeth is the best level with the Landmaster. Titania can get out of here, but at least it's better than the Blue Marine, which, yeah, Aquas is certainly a level of all time.
Certainly is.
The Landmaster is surprisingly hard to fly.
It's heavy as fuck.
Well, it's a tank. You're not supposed to fly. They just added like a couple of jet boosters at the bottom. So it kind of feels like exactly how I imagine it would be.
But I didn't expect. But I didn't expect it to have like one side at a time, and as opposed to like you have to like press two buttons for it to actually kind of fly a little bit. But I kept like barrel rolling by accident instead of flying. That I just keep getting stupid hits into stupid enemies and all that jazz.
Well, okay.
And the rolling feels like. Yeah, the rolling on the Landmaster definitely feels like you're wrestling a cow. It's just not doing what you want it to do when you want it to do it.
You go bonk.
Now I'm just imagining Fox trying to like suplex a cow or something.
him just being at the Landmaster, like witnessing the player's movements. I was like, God damn it! You can't even fly a goddamn tank. What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah. So, I will say in context, since this was one of the first video games I ever played, I was 4 years old. So I basically have like incredible muscle memory for this game. So, so I'm just used to a lot of the jank on it. So it's like the way that the Landmaster feels, the way that the R-Wing feels and stuff, it's like ingrained to my core memory. So I don't really have too much of a problem with how it feels and plays. Now, funny enough, you mentioned about the Blue Marine level. One of the funny things is originally Star Fox 64 was going to have a lot more Blue Marine levels. It was apparently a favorite among the dev team that they made like four or five Blue Marine levels. Zonas was supposed to be a Blue Marine level. At one point, Fortuna or Fortuna, as it was supposed to be called, was going to be a Blue Marine level too. They had made like 4 or 5 Blue Marine levels, and they eventually all but one got cut because later on they just found that it had pacing issues because of like, we want the game to feel fast paced, and the Blue Marine levels slow the game down. So they had to like just work really hard on deciding which of the Blue Marine levels to cut, and they they decided to keep the Aquas one because that was like the favorite among most of the staff, and they in the Japanese version of the game, they actually threw in a couple of lines about just how special this moment is. It's like, this is the one time you're ever going to experience this. I mean, basically from the interviews with the devs, it really broke their heart that they couldn't have more Blue Marine levels because they felt like that this was going to be the breakthrough mode for Star Fox 64. That would be its biggest selling point.
Yeah, no.
Developers get wrong.
In reality, Crash is the one who did that.
Yeah. Now, another funny thing is Miyamoto really was disappointed that Star Fox 2 got canceled. And so he kind of pushed really hard at various points in 64's development to include more elements from Star Fox 2 into the Star Fox 64 project. He was the one to push for the all-range mode to make it into Star Fox 64. He met a lot of resistance among the 64 dev team because we played an early build of Star Fox 2. Flying around in 3D space was not fun, but Miyamoto was like, no, this will work. Just give it a try. And they eventually did it. And in hindsight, some of the devs were like, dang, we should have made more of the game in all-range mode. And another thing that Miyamoto wanted for Star Fox 64, he wanted to bring back the Walker mode from Star Fox 2 into Star Fox 64. But again, the dev team Star Fox 64 resisted that idea, and as an alternative, they proposed both the Landmaster, which got greenlit, but they also pitched on-foot missions. And yes, at one point in Star Fox 64's development, you were going to get out of the R-Wing, and you were going to control Fox himself, who's armed with like this bazooka, and he was going to blow up things. And
shadowing.
Yeah, one of the ideas they had is, in the Fortuna mission, where after you deal with Star Wolf, Fox flies into the base to take care of the bomb. Well, originally, that was going to transition into a whole on-foot segment, and that was going to be an introduction to the on-foot gameplay, because you would be navigating this maze inside the base, blowing up some Andros robots to find the bomb.
Oh, wow. A third-person shooter on the 64 from Nintendo. That would be very interesting, to be honest.
Yeah, and also originally, Star Fox 64 was going to have 3 routes. It was going to have a full neutral route, it was going to have a full hard route, and a full easy route. According to a dev interview, the neutral route version of the Andros fight, as in their words, is like Fox was going to get out of the R-Ring and shoot Andros in the face with a bazooka.
Holy shit.
That would have been so worth it, though.
Yeah.
Game of the year.
Absolute cinema.
Yeah. Well, multiplayer was also, of course, a big feature for Star Fox 64. They made several multiplayer maps for it. Several of them got cut in development. Originally, they were going to bring Belladard from Star Fox 2. The Corneria map in Star Fox 64's multiplayer was originally going to be a Titania map, but they retextured it to be Corneria instead. That's why there's a pyramid in the middle of the map, because originally that was supposed to be a Titania map.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I need to play the multiplayer of that game.
Yeah. Another fun thing is originally they were going to have they're thinking about doing kind of like a team versus mode as a multiplayer function for Star Fox 64, where not only could you could have like 2 players play as 2 members of Star Fox and have 2 players play as 2 members of Star Wolf, but that also got cut in development. But yeah, playable Star Wolf was originally going to be kind of an option for 64's multiplayer. One of the fun things is when the game came out in Japan, they actually had a Star Fox 64 tournament. They did a whole tournament circuit across Japan. And the cool thing about that is Nintendo built life-size R-Wings that players would climb into, and inside they would have like a TV where the console inside the R-Wing would be, and of course a Nintendo 64 console, and of course a controller that would be kind of built into the thing as if it was like the R-Wing's controls. And they had like 4 of those for like a multiplayer tournament. And the cool thing is, whoever won in the lower brackets of the tournament would actually go up against one of the Star Fox 64 devs. Which is really cool. There's a couple of very old pictures of this tournament that are still like on the internet or in some of the old video game magazines. But man, I think it would have been so cool to have been there and seen like a life-size R-Wing.
I agree. That would have been so cool.
Yeah. Now, one of the cool things,
perfect arcade experience.
Yeah, one of the cool things is at the tournament, like I said, Amura was there. I think Amura played Fox up against some of the tournament winners. Miyamoto was there, and he actually played Slippy in the tournament. And funny enough, Miyamoto was the one dev that got beat the fastest from the tournament players.
Wow. Chiggy Wiggy played Sleepy
he got beaten easily as Slippy. So that's a double lose.
But like, imagine getting your shit rocked by Slippy. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You were such a loser.
Start questioning all your life choices.
Gotcha, dumbass.
Shit, I'm funny back.
So
This is for shooting me down in Cornelia, Fox.
Oh shit, this is going back to bite me.
one of the other interesting things is the English translation of Star Fox 64. They actually added a whole bunch of unique dialogue that's not in the Japanese version. So if you like compare the size of the Japanese script and the American script is actually bigger and has more unique lines of dialogue for the characters.
They probably had to compress the audio a little bit more to fit all those lines.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I could probably talk about trivia for pretty much this entire podcast, but there is more Star Fox games to go to. Do you guys have any more thoughts or opinions on Star Fox 64? Any favorite bosses? Any least favorite levels, or any other thoughts you have?
Can I start?
The train one was a little bit of a pain in the ass to get the best ending, but it was fun to go through.
Well, I mean, now speaking from, I'm a guy who appreciates story and music more than anything else, even in games. So I think I would say the asteroid field level is kind of my favorite. With between the music playing in the background, the enemies were good. I mean, I'll tell you that. But the tension in the music, going alongside the asteroids that you face, and then Peppy just suddenly spurting, "It's quiet, too quiet." I did love that moment in that level, and I think that level would have been. I think that level is my favorite, but it's kind of shaky, and it's kind of shaky in its favoritism by the level that Cat appears in. That I forgot its name suddenly.
A good question. What do you guys think about some of the new characters that were added in this game, like Bill and Cat? And what do you think of the official introduction of Starwolf in this game?
I don't remember.
They had a pretty good introduction,
to be honest. But Starwolf, now they're memorable as hell. Like, they're a nice rival team for Star Fox, and I think the voice acting helps carry it a lot when literally the most quotable lines for me are, "Can't let you do that, Star Fox. Addresses ordered us to take you down. Address's enemy is my enemy." Stuff like that. Like,
you're good, but I'm better.
Honest. What? It's so good. Honestly, like, I enjoy Starwolf, and this ties into Assault, but I also do like their theme there. They're orchestrated as hell.
Andrew
I would say I
Awakening
did
is just a
enjoy-
very arrogant Birdly.
Yeah, I would say like the introduction of Starwolf was actually really cool, and they are very memorable. I also like to take advantage of just boosting to them and shooting them down as quickly as possible, just to see how quick I can do it. That's probably one of my favorite things to do, especially in Venom 2. When they
Yeah.
have their ships and they're like, oh yeah, we got new ships, like, okay, yeah, well, I'm gonna shoot you down in 10 seconds. But yeah, they're just super quotable. For Bill and Kat, they are somewhat memorable, but I would say like I do enjoy their presence, but I don't have a lot to say about them versus something like Starwolf.
Mm-hmm.
Cat
I
would
think I
have
know
been.
about Cat as their
Cat
theme.
wouldn't.
That's it.
Cat wouldn't have been memorable if it wasn't for Falco. You know, because we already think Falco is very interesting as a character. So without him, Cat wouldn't have been as interesting as she is.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, Falco is sometimes a certified hater, but he
Yeah,
does at least have some entertaining things to say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You be trolling.
Falco's probably at his worst in this particular game because of all the Star Fox games, he seems to be the most the most ungrateful in this particular game.
Just say he's a dickhead. We understand.
Yeah.
I think that's why we like him most in here.
Hey Einstein, I'm on your side.
Now, in terms of me, I really like Starwolf in this game. This game probably has my favorite depiction of Starwolf outside of like the Starlink game. I really like how they're depicted here, how their voice acting. My two favorite characters of the Starwolf team is of course Wolf and Leon, but Pigma has some of the best voice lines in the game, where it's like, Daddy screamed real good when he died. I mean, it's like very sadistic, but also like really over the top.
Holy shit. These kinds of comments in my Nintendo game?
This is such a twisted line.
Yeah. Oh, and funny enough, that line is actually exclusive to the American version. Now, one thing is interesting
that
in the Japanese. Yeah. Now, one thing is funny is in the Japanese version, Wolf has a line in Venom 2 that goes really hard. When you go to like Venom 2 and encounter like Wolf in the new ships and stuff, how he introduces himself is he says something along the lines of, "Your father is waiting for you in hell, Fox."
Hell?
I think
Damn.
that is the actual line.
Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah.
Damn.
And it's like, dang, that line goes really hard. And it also, I think it fits pretty well with how dark and violent the Venom 2 boss fight is. I will say one of the hardest bosses in Star Fox 64 is the rematch with Starwolf on Venom 2. It's like, I've played Star Fox 64 pretty much my entire life, and they still rock me hard in Venom 2. If you like don't have like max health and max lasers when you finish like Area 6, you're going to have a bad time.
They straight up kill the other three in like less than a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shit's hard. I haven't really had to
I'll
like
say
reload
hard
my
route.
save a lot. Oh.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'll go ahead and say some of my favorite bosses in the game. I would say Area 6 has a very memorable boss. Definitely not safe for your eyes if you don't like flashing colors, but it is definitely a memorable boss. Let's see. Let's talk about Sector X for a second, because talk about a complete backhand to whatever you had planned. If you were like me and just didn't like saving Slippy all the time, I would shoot him down prior to Sector X, only to find that he would come back in the middle of the level and just ruin your day. And if you don't defeat the Spyborg quick enough, he'll get absolutely bitch smacked all the way to Titania just for you to not have a great time.
Oh, Titania is the volcano planet, right? Hey.
No, it's a desert. It's
Oh,
yeah.
The volcano
it's
planet is
not
solar.
fun.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
solar.
I was remembering of the one time Slippy died and went to heaven.
You mean that video where he actually melted?
All right, folks, we are about to have another guest come on board. It's Carlos. Give him a hand, everybody. Welcome to the show, Carlos.
Woo!
Welcome.
Hello.
Hey, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience. We are just we're still talking about Star Fox 64, but yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself and share what your socials are.
My name is Carlos Cabrera. I am a freelance voice actor and game designer. You can find me on Blue Sky and Facebook at Carlos at SCG spelled out. And yeah, Star Fox is cool. Let's go.
Well, welcome. We were just talking about Star Fox 64, and we were talking about like our favorite bosses, music tracks, and things. What memories do you have of Star Fox 64?
With 64, it was mostly casual play with probably the first girlfriend I ever had when I was 16 years old. But I started with the original Star Fox and Star Fox 2 as it apparently later released, like what, years ago?
Well, yeah, Star Fox 64 originally came out in 96. Let me double check real quick.
1997.
The 64 came out in 97.
1997. Okay, right. My bad. 1997. I should know it. I've seen the ending of the game many times.
If you forget about it again, just remember Spampton.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Carlos, could you boost your audio a little bit on your end? I've maximized it on my end, but you're coming in a little bit quiet.
Yeah, 1 second here. All right, how is that?
I think it's a little bit better. Could you increase it just one more time, if you can?
How's that?
Perfect. All right. So, yes. So, what are some of your favorite levels or bosses in that game?
Oh man, 64 is probably the harder one to remember out of all of them. I would have to say I've always had a soft spot for how the game starts in Corneria, and then all of the duels with Starwolf.
Yes.
That's like the dogfighting. I think was my favorite part.
Okay. So one of the interesting things about Star Fox 64 is that this would eventually turn out to be the highest selling game in the franchise. This game sold more copies than any other Star Fox game before or after. Also, another interesting neat thing to note, and it's kind of would have unfortunate implications later down the line, but Amura and Miyamoto put so much heart and soul into Star Fox 64 that both of them basically kind of felt like that the franchise peaked with this particular game, and that if they try to do something exactly like 64 in the future, it wouldn't hold up to it. It wouldn't compare. And so that was one of the reasons why Fox 64 they felt like they needed to take the franchise in a different direction, because it kind of felt like that they did all that they could possibly could with the formula with this particular game.
And they never played Ace Combat?
That's what I'm saying.
Here's something interesting about that. I was watching a documentary about Retro Studios, and they were talking about there was a former guy that used to work at Retro Studios. They said that Nintendo's company culture is that they don't like playing games outside of Nintendo because they feel like that will like unduly influence their own games that they make. So they probably haven't played Ace Combat. because they don't like playing games from other people's companies because they feel like they'll, taint their own ideas.
I think
Is this North
nowadays that
Korea?
probably doesn't happen.
Yeah, as a designer myself, I feel like playing other things is what you use as inspiration to make your game even more unique from the things you're playing. There's
I'm
been several
fairly
times where you like play something that might be similar to an idea that you have, and then you just pivot because now you know how to make it better.
I'm fairly certain Nintendo doesn't do that anymore. With the release of the Switch 2, one of the main designers for the system, Kota Kawamoto, he did say that he got the idea for the mouse because of him playing PC games. And then he was shocked to find out that other people in Nintendo were already thinking of the idea of turning one Joy-Con to the mouse. So I think nowadays that probably is a bit different.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this person was talking about like way back around like 2006, 2007. He was trying to pitch an idea of basically combining Metroid with the mechanics of like Portal, and he tried to show them Portal, and they refused to play it because we can't play it.
I think it's more so a case of them wanting to be fully original with their ideas and not just, it's like this game, It's like this. It's like,
yeah, exactly. I think that's where their mindset comes from for that.
Yeah. Of course, that was also during the era of peak gimmicky Nintendo. So things have changed.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, funny enough, Star Fox 64 definitely has its fair share of pop culture references. There is a lot of references to things like Macross in it and Gundam. In fact, if you notice, the flight suits of the Venom pilots in Star Fox 64, they're all wearing Xeon flight suits. There's also some references to Captain Harlock. There's also there's references to the late 70s, early 80s Japanese sci-fi series, Star Wolf. I mean, so it's kind of name on the tin. So there's references to that.
Cat's last name.
So yeah. And also, there's also several references to some older arcade games as well. It's like in the program files, there's a reference to the Namco Starblade arcade.
Well, they just didn't want to tell you about it.
Yeah. So yeah.
There's also a reference that's kind of a little on the nose. Which is Kat's last name. She's called Kat Monroe, and she actually talks exactly like the actress she's referencing.
Yes. And also, funny enough, the boss in Sector X, that boss is referenced to several different sci-fi things. It's referenced to HAL 9000 with its face portrait. It is a reference to Star Trek The Motion Picture because one of its lines is asking, "Where is the creator?" Which is exactly what the probe in the first Star Trek movie asks, "Where is the creator?" And of course, there's also the Cantina mission, which is one big homage to Independence Day. Funny enough, the same time that Star Fox 64 came out was the same month that the official movie Independence Day came out on the PlayStation 1. And reviewers at the time, basically, when they were reviewing both games side by side, a lot of the review media outlets at the time said that Star Fox 64 is a better Independence Day game than the actual Independence Day game.
Love that.
All right, so closing thoughts on Star Fox 64. Do you recommend it? What was some other thoughts or memories you have on it? How would you rank it? Would you recommend it to a newcomer? What do you guys feel about this game?
I mean, it's the game we talked about the longest so far, so if that's not a recommendation, then I don't know what is.
Probably one of the best games in the franchise. Easy recommend for fans of on-rail shooters or people who want to try out the Space Furries game. It's definitely one of the N64's greats, even if there's another on-rail shooter on the console that I prefer way more, Sin and Punishment. So, yeah. But Star Fox 64 is pretty good. So, yeah.
Definitely recommend playing the game. I'm sorry, go ahead, Carlos.
With the prestige alone, I feel like it's definitely one of the top ones in the series to try out. It's sort of the game that basically got exposed to the most people as far as how popular the game became. And it was actually still really, really good. So I think all around it's a solid try.
And I would say definitely there's a reason why when people think about Star Fox, they think about this game. It is the de facto Star Fox game, let's be honest. And you could argue it being overrated or anything like that, but there's a reason why, and it solidified itself in Nintendo's history for a good reason. So yes, I heavily recommend playing this game.
Yes. Okay, so a little bit of interesting history. After Star Fox 64 came out, Nintendo immediately wanted to do a follow-up to Star Fox. Now, Imura and Miyamoto were definitely on board with the idea. They wanted to keep the same dev team that they had for Star Fox 64. The original plan was to do a follow-up that would be called Star Fox Adventures. For the Nintendo 64 idea for the game was that they were going to take all the concepts and ideas that they couldn't fit into Star Fox 64 and basically use that as like the blueprint for their follow-up game. Their idea was to have Fox get out of the R-Wing, so they would have a few R-Wing missions, but their plan was to focus more on other vehicles and on-foot missions. So they were thinking about like more Landmaster levels, more Blue Marine levels, on-foot missions, and other types of vehicles as well. They were also, since the team was wrapping up development also with Ocarina of Time, they were also kind of thinking about having more exploration aspects to it, like maybe you would spend more time on particular planets. Now, unfortunately, due to the nature of game development and the size of Nintendo as a company, they found that development ground to a halt because they needed those people on other projects. I mean, F-Zero X needed people. Ocarina of Time, of course, needed people. And then, like, immediately after that, Majora's Mask needed development. And so before they knew it, the lifespan of the Nintendo 64 was almost up, and they never got out of the prototyping stage for their Star Fox follow-up. And so one thing led to another, and there was apparently some sort of chance encounter between Miyamoto and the developers at Rare. And so game that was in production at Rare called Dinosaur Planet became Star Fox Adventures. Now, before we talk about Star Fox Adventures proper, I do want to briefly mention one other interesting thing about this canceled version of Star Fox Adventures. Originally, Imura had the idea of having a set with a much older Fox. His idea for this Star Fox 64 follow-up would be Fox pretty closer to the age of his father, James. And he was kind of having the idea of like, since we saw how the team had gotten together, how about we kind of show off the team at like the end of their career? And that way he would have like a beginning and end, and he can make other games set in between both points. Of course, that concept of the story would eventually become the basis for the plot of Star Fox Command, and we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, Command's plot originally was going to kind of be the plot for Star Fox 64 too, or, well, essentially the original idea for Star Fox Adventures. So before we talk about Adventures proper, let's talk a little bit about Dinosaur Planet. Have any of you guys played the leaked build of the game that came out a couple of years ago?
No, but
I
I've seen
unfortunately did
some
not.
footage of it.
So everybody here's no. Okay. Well, this will be a quick entry then. I've been, of course, kind of involved with the Dinosaur Planet scene. A good number of the videos on my channel are different discoveries made on Dinosaur Planet. Honestly, I like Dinosaur Planet a lot. I think it has the better version of Crystal. And I think the story is both darker but more interesting. Now, the build that leaked was a transition build, and it's the first version of Dinosaur Planet that actually had partially rewrote the plot to include Fox instead of its original protagonist, Saber. I think Dracor made a really good villain for the game. He is a Chimerian dragon that is a cyborg. he is still in the final version of Adventures, but he's just kind of a generic boss there. I also really like the original version of the Krazoa, who basically try to present themselves as a force for good, only to turn out to be, well, kind of evil at the climax of the game. And I just kind of really like the darker tone and what they were trying to do with the story of Dinosaur Planet. Unlike the vast majority of people out there that basically decry that, well, Fox never fit in Dinosaur Planet, actually with this transition build, he kind of does. Sure, you don't have the rest of the Star Fox team, but he kind of actually slots into the story pretty well. And funny enough, Dinosaur Planet is actually more sci-fi than the final version of Star Fox Adventures. If none of you guys have played it, we'll just move on to Star Fox Adventures proper then.
Fairfax temperatures.
All right. So, Star Fox Adventures on the GameCube.
The reign of crystal begins.
I haven't played it, but I'm definitely interested in playing it someday. I've only did a small test drive on my hacked Wii U a few years ago, but I didn't really get far because I just wanted to test it out. There's definitely a game I'm eyeing on because it's very different from all other Star Fox games as everybody knows, and it does look like a sort of diet Zelda. And now that I'm more used to pre-Zelda, maybe I get used to this game. But I found out that it has the same issue as a lot of other Rare games where whenever you're aiming stuff in first person, the reticle always snaps back to the middle of the screen. I'm like, why the hell are you still doing that, Rare? What the hell?
Yeah, that was annoying.
But besides that, it looks interesting. Crossover Palace.
The original plot sounds so much cooler than what I actually saw.
I actually have a lot to say about this game, but I do want to give an opportunity for everyone else to chime in before I go ahead and start saying my piece.
Yeah. If it was a comparison between Star Fox Adventures and Dinosaur Planet, I do kind of wish the final version of Adventures was closer to Dinosaur Planet. I kind of feel like that this game kind of suffers a death by 1,000 cuts. The final game is fine. It's perfectly serviceable, and it looks incredible. I mean, it's one of the best looking GameCube games out there. But I do kind of feel like that the characters and story kind of suffers from all the changes that it had in development, and then its rushed final couple of years due to it switched to the GameCube and then the oncoming Microsoft buyout. I feel like that there's probably a better timeline somewhere out there in the multiverse where this game probably came out in a much better shape than it actually did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. I feel if any of you guys haven't looked into Dinosaur Planet, I would highly recommend giving the 64 build a try. But like I said, we're on to Star Fox Adventures now, and yeah, the game looks incredible. It has a good soundtrack, and it introduced the world of Crystal.
Perfect.
The world has never been the same.
Perfect furry bait. Perfect.
Now, okay, can I say my piece?
Sure, go ahead.
Now, as one would expect, I had quite the background on this game, and the background I had was actually pretty odd compared to what I actually saw, but I was actually counting my lucky stars when I was actually playing it, because I didn't trust Dolphin as an emulator, and I did not trust my MacBook as a device. So every time I was actually trying to play the game, I was scared it would actually kind of ruin the experience. But compared to what could have happened, it actually went through just fine. But let me talk about the game now. Also, just like I said, I knew what Crystal was gonna be, but not definitively. I mean, I did have now my background on her was very, very obscure, but I hate to admit it, but I was kind of underwhelmed by how very little her scenes were. I mean, I was like, is this what all the fuss over her is about? Because I didn't play Assault at the time. I didn't play Assault. But I did not try Ocarina of Time, so I can't judge the similarities between these two games. However, the music is actually pretty pleasant and actually as good as Sunny says it is. However, I think I have a really soft spot for Tricky as a character because I kind of like those little sidekicks that actually kind of steal the story from the protagonists themselves, even though he doesn't say much. But I did not expect the game to be as long as it did. It took me like a month to complete because, well, it was a MacBook, it was Dolphin, and every gameplay took me like 2 hours before the laptop would run out of battery. So, I would say I had a good time. Summer vacation was actually a very good time to play such a game.
All right. Well, I guess I'll say a little bit of my piece now. For me, when I was a kid, when I first heard that there was going to be a new Star Fox game for the GameCube, I was really excited for it because I love Star Fox 64. This was before I actually had a GameCube. And so all I could do was play like demos of like Mario Sunshine, which is a game I absolutely love, and other demos of upcoming GameCube games at demo kiosks at different like stores. And so for me, my first experience with Star Fox Adventures was a demo kiosk at a Kmart. If anybody remembers a Kmart, that definitely shows you that you're one of us.
Bill and Ted.
Yeah. And so for me,
I don't know what Kmart is, but I know Bill and Ted.
Yeah. And so for me, I didn't know too much going into what Star Fox Adventures was going to be about. And so when I played it, played the demo of it, I was thoroughly confused because I was like, where's the technology? Where's the ships? Who's this blue fox lady? And why is everybody talking funny? And and so I was like thoroughly confused by what on earth was going on. And then the other level that was in the demo, I don't think I even got past the galleon in that one part of the demo. But the other level in that demo was like a Arwing mission, and it was like so brief that I was like kind of like underwhelmed. If any of you guys have played Kingdom Hearts, it's about the exact length of like one of the gummy ship levels from like either the first or second game.
Oh, the second game has cooler ones. Probably is better than like Star Fox Adventures' Arcwing levels, to be honest.
Yeah. And so Star Fox Adventures, I actually skipped because nothing in the game really grabbed me. Of course, I was like 7 at the time. So I just kind of skipped this game originally and just waited for the release of Assault. Of course, going back, I eventually later got a copy of the game, and I appreciate it a lot more now. I think the release of the Dinosaur Planet build actually really helped a lot of me really liking Star Fox Adventures. Because I'm able to appreciate the final version of the game more and what was originally what it was going to be. And like I said, just to say, I'm not one of those people that hates on Nintendo, like, oh, it should never became a Star Fox game. No, I think it was perfectly reasonable for it to, and I think what they had with the leaked build on the 64 had potential. But like I said, I've already said that a couple times. So Zero, take it from here.
All right, so I actually have a very interesting history with this game because this is actually I have a soft spot for this game. It has its flaws, but I actually do love this game. So I was maybe 7 or 8 when this game came out. That depends whether it came out in 2000 or 2001. This was a game that I wasn't looking for, and I didn't really see any demos of. But just one day, my mom came home with this game. I didn't ask for it. She just bought the game. And that's the sentimental value that I have with it. So when I actually played the game, I was familiar with Star Fox. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into because I saw the little video that plays in the beginning of the game when you start it up. And I knew it was going to be something completely different. But I strangely found myself enjoying it. Now, unlike some, I don't really have any anything or any thought about Crystal at all because she's such a nothing character in this game. But also
Fully
just
understood.
for the other reasons also doesn't make sense to me either, but that's neither here nor there. But this game really did feel like a Zelda game before a Zelda game actually came out on the GameCube. And it really showed what the system could do. Now, like you said, Sonny, the graphics are very impressive, and one could even argue that it holds to this day. Like, it's not perfect as far as realistic graphics go, but for the time, and this was maybe a launch title, the graphics were really impressive, and Rare really set itself apart, putting the visuals here. The music.
A year after GameCube, if you're wondering.
Oh, okay. The music is actually really amazing. Dave Wise, who's no stranger to anybody who likes Rare games, really did get the atmosphere there. I like the underground cave music. There's a lot of standout tracks on here that you could just listen to and vibe to. It's nothing catchy or anything like that you'd get from maybe Star Fox 64 or even the first game, but it really sets the vibe and tone for what you're getting yourself into. And I'll say that despite all the memes and the jokes that came out for the game, or even reviewers taking the time to just tear the game apart, honestly, it's not as bad as a game as many people make it out to be. And also, like you were saying, Sonny, I do agree that it being a Star Fox game isn't a big deal, though I do, the big knowledge that I do have of Dinosaur Planet, I think it would have been a lot more interesting if they did combine the stories a little bit more, if they had the opportunity to do that. It really is a fascinating game of what we could have gotten. And I am very fascinated of what it could have been, but for what we've got, it's not a bad game.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like the Phantom Menace. You're gonna like it if you're not that serious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good analogy. If you just are going into it just for the fun of it, you'll have a better time with it. I really do wish that there was a little bit more blending of what the original plot was and what we eventually got in Star Fox Adventures. I think that would have been ideal. I will say, though, actually at the time, Star Fox Adventures sold pretty well. It's like, I think, the third best-selling Star Fox game. And also, at the time, the reviews for it were pretty positive. It wasn't until, like, later on, until, like, the late 2000s and early 2010s that that opinion on the game turned sharply negative. But if you've kind of noticed, in recent, probably within like the past like 5-8 years, there's been a lot of nostalgia and positivity centered around Star Fox Adventures again. And so it's been very interesting seeing public opinion sway back and forth on this game over the years. It kind of reminds me of like Silent Hill 4: The Room. At like it came out, it did all right. Then people hated on it, and now it's like beloved. That
tends to be the case with things from the early 2000s. Like if they're overhated, 15 years down the line, they'll be loved. It's like when Marty McFly said, I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet, but your kids are going to love it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Good reference.
Actually, a good point.
Yeah.
It's a good point that Mo brings up, because this isn't the only thing that came out around this time that had positive reviews when it first came out. Then when the rise of the internet reviewers, they were able to sway opinions quite a bit just because of their presence, for good or bad. The entertainment was really for entertainment, but let's be honest, it did sway opinions.
Absolutely.
But later on, when people got the opportunity to actually play it or form their own opinion on something, they end up enjoying it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I've also seen reviewers at the time not liking game, and then a new generation nowadays, like they grow up with the game, they talk about it. It's like, oh, this game is actually pretty good. What the hell were the reviewers smoking?
Yeah. So What do you think of the quote unquote main villain of this game? Since this is officially the first time we've had a villain that was not strictly Andros in the franchise.
Well,
Disappointing.
I was gonna ask you if it's actually General Skills that you're referring to.
Yes.
in a general scale, I will say that he's pretty pathetic.
I think it. Go ahead.
He was very, very overhyped. I mean, like, he falls down the same boat that Crystal falls in. Like literally, he was like he's about to fight Fox, and then Andros comes in and like takes his, and swoops his place. Like, at least give the motherfucking guy a chance to actually fight the damn dude. Like, let us fight the damn guy, and then just show off yourself in that Krazoa spirit like disguise of yours or whatever. You already fought the damn fox first.
Mm-hmm. I think it is kind of funny. In development, Scales always intended to have a boss fight, even in the Dinosaur Planet build. But even then, they had cut it for various reasons, and so they just killed him off in a cutscene there where he gets teleported and breaks his back across a rock. And then when they shifted development to Star Fox Adventures, they intended once again to give him a boss fight. In fact, they were going to give him 2 boss fights. One with hand to hand with your weapon, and then another one where you take the R-wing and fight his galleon. And then for due to crunch and them having to get the game out before the Microsoft buyout, they had to cut it again. And so General Scales was always intended to have a boss fight, but never got one. Funny enough, though, in the Chaos demo version, if you hack the game and get yourself into the Scales boss room, he does have bare basic boss AI, and he will actually like take damage and take swings at you. But it's like very like bare basic like placeholder kind of stuff, and it generally like crashes the game half the time.
So he's just another Andro Uikuni.
So what do you guys think about Crystal specifically in this game?
Oh, I have a lot to say.
She exists, and she's trapped, and then Booba and Foxes go Awuga, and then bam, she's part of the team.
I think Gato just summed up the entire game that at least she has a part in.
Oh, she's beautiful.
I actually do have a lot to say about her character. Because talk about a huge missed opportunity of a character. Imagine being uprooted from your own game just to make way for strictly Fox gameplay. Now, I don't know, and Sunny, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if there was a point where Fox was a predominantly main character where you would be able to swap between him and her. But I think the game would have been a lot more interesting if you could have swapped between the two of them, like how Dinosaur Planet was between her and Saber.
Yeah. Of course, in the League build, it is where you swap between her and Fox because, well, they just replaced Saber's model with Fox and re-recorded a few voice lines.
It really was just an empty character there, and I didn't really care too much about her presence. And it's not until Assault where I actually do like her character. They teeter her to actually having more personality. But here, she just exists, and whether you prefer the view or not is up to you.
Yeah.
I actually agree with Zero on that part. I agree with Zero on that part. Like, she doesn't get a spotlight in Adventures. Like, she only gets like an important role in Assault, and that's about it. Like, I personally myself don't count Command as like her spotlight, because that would be like saying Jaws: The Revenge is Michael Caine's best movie. But no. But no, like, she only has Assault as her like as her spotlight. Like, she's there like Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs, just very little screen time, and you only hear from her because the internet made her huge.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny because Anthony Hopkins' character in Silence of the Lamb is only 5-10 minutes in the whole film, but he's the thing that everybody talks about, just like how Crystal is the thing that pretty much everybody talks about for Adventures.
Kind of like
Yeah.
Pages as well.
And he won an Oscar for that,
Yeah,
for Best Actor.
yeah. Carlos, what's your thoughts on Crystal, or did you already share them?
Well, what I like about the discussion is that when this game first came out, I just wasn't sure if this was going to be for me. It wasn't just the crystal factor. I was just looking at the gameplay and the style and being this wasn't really exactly what I wanted from my Star Fox.
Same
But
here.
with the way that you guys have been talking about it, I feel like I might want to go back and give it a shot, which I think is kind of impressive.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I would definitely recommend both getting the final version, which is Star Fox Adventures, but I would also recommend getting the leaked Dinosaur Planet build as well. I think you'll have a very fun time playing through both and just kind of, especially as a game designer, you might definitely learn some things of what early development kind of looks like of what a game was in an earlier build compared to its final state.
Dinosaur Planet does sound really cool.
Yes. Rare was being very, very ambitious with Dinosaur Planet. Not just in what they had wrote in the lore and story and stuff, but they seemed like they were really wanting to make it their swan song for the 64, which ironically became Conker's, which was the swan song for them. But they intended Dinosaur Planet to be the swan song for their N64 tenure. Now, my opinion on
context sensitive.
Yeah. My opinion on Crystal is I've never been a Crystal lover or a Crystal hater. She just kind of is there. I think she's kind of pretty. I think that she's a nice compliment to the team. But I just here's the thing. I really do like Crystal in Dinosaur Planet. I actually really love her character there because, well, she's actually given agency. She has a personality, and she has a cute look and voice. And they actually do some interesting stuff with her backstory there. And here, I know people will get mad at this, but it is kind of true. She is kind of eye candy in the game. The thing is when Nintendo approached the Rare devs on Dinosaur Planet, one of the things that they really were interested in was Crystal, because they wanted, for a while, even when they were working on their own version of Star Fox Adventures, one of the things that they felt like they needed to do was add a girl to the team. They had it in Star Fox 2, they didn't have it in Star Fox 64, and they felt like they really needed to have a female character that would actually be part of the team. And they also thought it would...
Not that Faye and Mayu were anything big.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, they weren't released. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And exist.
Yeah. And they felt like that it'd be interesting to give Fox a love interest. And so when they approached Rare about turning into a Star Fox game, and that got the green light and going forward, at first Nintendo was actually pretty hands-off on the transition of Dinosaur Planet into Star Fox Adventures. In fact, there's actually a recent interview with the lead director of Dinosaur Planet and Star Fox Adventures that said that basically Nintendo gave us carte blanche on what we wanted to do in order to convert it into a Star Fox game. However, in their rush there was the stipulation is originally Nintendo wanted Star Fox Adventures to be a launch game for the GameCube. And so in their rush to try to make it ready for showtime as a launch game for the GameCube, they had to cut a lot of stuff. And so one of the things that they decided to cut was all of Crystal's content. They basically cut her as a playable character. They cut out all her cutscenes. They pretty much cut everything regarding her because they felt like, well, this is going to be a Star Fox game, so we need to center it on Fox as the male lead. And so in one of their later meetings with Nintendo, and when Nintendo learned that they had cut Crystal, they were like, no, you need to keep Crystal in the game. That was one of the reasons why we approached you guys about it. And And so they insisted that Crystal needed to be reinstated into the game in some capacity. But at this point, they had already cut out all her content, and they, well, really had no intention of having her in the game at all. In fact, interesting enough, one of the earliest builds, I don't know if it's actually ever been leaked. I don't think it has, but I hope one of these days it actually does get leaked. But there's documents that show that at one point, the Galleon intro that introduces Crystal, her riding on that, Cloud Runner, that was, at one point they had redone that whole cutscene and revoiced it with scene instead.
So basically, TLDR, what you're saying is that Rare are secretly sexists.
So, yeah, TLDR, they cut Crystal for time reasons. Then they got told they had to reinstate her. So they hastily tried to restore some of her content, but they couldn't restore all of it. And so basically that's the reason why you only play as her for a very short section at the beginning of the game. And then they stuck her in a crystal for the rest of the game until near the end. Because they just simply did not have the manpower or dev time to basically restore all the content that she originally had in Dinosaur Planet. Now, one of the interesting things is there is cut voice lines that would have indicated that Fox would have freed her a little bit earlier in the game and would have been with Fox for their General Scales boss fight. And there's even cut dialogue to indicate that at one point Scales was going to break Crystal's leg in the boss fight, forcing Fox to basically fight Scales one-on-one.
Oh, damn. Would have made General Skills a much more impactful villain in some way.
Also, I think it's really admirable that even though her presence was very little in the game, and a lot of people agree that she's eye candy, Estelle Ellis just embraces the fact that the fandom fucking loves that girl.
Oh yes, yes. I mean,
she doesn't have that her barriers in contributing to the fandom aren't really that defined. She embraces what they all think of her. Yeah, she's eye candy. We all know that, and they're just so supportive with each other about it, and just so self-loving. It's really, really admirable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in some ways, it's like the Crystal fandom that also just happens to have Star Fox in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Eye candy with some space furries on the side.
Yeah. Now, one of the other interesting things is prior to the Microsoft buyout of Rare, they were actually having some talks between Nintendo and Rare to actually make Star Fox Adventures like a spin-off sub-series. There would be like Star Fox Adventures, then there would be like another like arcadey, like mainline Star Fox game, and then Rare would make like a Star Fox Adventures 2, and so on and so forth. That was actually something that they were actually in talks with Nintendo about, like making Star Fox Adventures like a whole sub-series for the franchise. And it's kind of a shame that we never got that.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, especially if they could improve the ideas.
Yeah.
Maybe make it stand out more compared to, I don't know, Zelda, which Adventures definitely got compared a lot to.
Well, that's partially, because, Dinosaur Planet was going to be a Zelda. Now, one of the things was, Amura and the Rare devs, they really did want to Star Foxify the game more. Like, Amura had talked about, we want to give, Fox a blaster and have, more of, a sci-fi tool set and stuff. There just simply was just not enough dev time to incorporate that stuff into the game. And there's tons of unused voice lines where at one point you could contact Rob at any time, and he would actually send supplies down into whatever map you're at to gather up additional supplies if you wanted, which would have been a cool addition to the game. And they also wanted to actually include more of the Star Fox team to be involved in the adventure. Maybe Slippy would go down to help you with a dungeon, or Peppy to go down at one point and help you with some sort of puzzle or something. But all that stuff they just simply didn't have the time for.
Yeah, according to the game, our mission is to save the planet, not blow it up. Let's try something a bit more tactical.
Yeah. So, any one of the other things I have to say is I have to say like the Krazoa spirit effect that Fox has is like one of the most unintentionally hilarious things in the game because anytime there's like a cutscene where Fox has the Krazoa spirit and it shows his face, he looks so stoned. He looks like he's high as a kite.
Like
This game
high on
released
LSD.
It'd be so high you'll see some spirits.
Ooh, some Krazoa spirit. Was this game released on like April 20th or?
Let me look. No, it was released on September 23rd.
You didn't get the joke.
Oh,
Close enough.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
that means it's in like a few days.
yes.
Ooh.
Yeah. So closing thoughts on Star Fox Adventures. Do you recommend this game? Any like favorite things or least favorite things about it?
I recommend it to people who are going in with a completely open mind.
Well, look, I'm a guy who likes long ass Western movies, so this was right up my alley. If you're the same, go check it out. If you also and if you also like the space furries and the eye candy lady, whatever the hell she is, the why did I suddenly forget her name? What the hell?
It's okay, the game forgot her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's only fair.
I'd say I recommend playing the game. Like RinoDino said, go in with an open mind, and you might actually enjoy the game and see what little lore things you've been missing, especially if you like Assault.
Yes.
I love Assault.
So, yeah. So,
Ooh.
Carlos, any closing thoughts yourself?
I just think I might have to get myself a copy and try it out now. Thanks, guys.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. So, next we'll go to the game that pretty much almost everybody here has been eagerly waiting for Star Fox Assault.
Yes.
Yes.
Now,
Oh,
yes. Now, a little bit of background on Star Fox Assault. This actually was started development before Star Fox Adventures even came out. Star Fox Assault was kind of the it started life as part of the Project Triforce deal. It was a deal that a partnership that Nintendo made with like Sega and Namco to use GameCube hardware to make arcade games. And as part of that deal, Sega and Namco would also be allowed to develop a couple of mainline Nintendo titles for the GameCube. This resulted in Sega making F-Zero GX, which is probably one of the best F-Zero games of all time, and Namco to develop Star Fox Assault.
yep.
Now, the Assault originally was also going to have an arcade version as well called Armada, but for whatever reason, it never came out. Now, interesting enough, Assault had kind of a not as much of a rocky dev history as Adventures, but it definitely ran into its own set of problems, definitely later on in development. One of the interesting things was that in Japan, when they first presented Star Fox Assault in the first announcement trailer, the crowd actually booed. They did not like the original trailer for Star Fox Assault, and they were like very disappointed that it was the Klonoa dev team that was making the Star Fox game because there had been rumors beforehand.
Not enough Fox romance. Boo.
There was rumors beforehand in Japan that it was going to be the Project Aces team that was going to be doing the Namco Star Fox project, and not the Klonoa dev team. Yeah, but yeah,
Klonoa.
yeah. But anyway, so yeah, Namco and Nintendo were kind of taken aback when they were greeted with boos when they first announced Assault in Japan. Now, one of the interesting things was about Assault is mechanically, this was kind of the revival of the gameplay aspects that they originally had for the 64 version of Adventures. They wanted a game that would allow you to get out of the R-Wing, shoot stuff, and have experiences with other kinds of vehicles. Now, one of the other interesting things about Assault is they wanted Star Fox Assault to be like very much a multiplayer-centric game. In fact, they developed the multiplayer for Assault long before they actually ever developed the single-player campaign for the game.
They Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2 situation.
Yes. In fact, one of the things was the two biggest influences for Star Fox Assault was the movie and book Starship Troopers, and also the game Halo 1, Halo Combat Evolved. Those were the two biggest influences for Star Fox Assault. And also one of the interesting things was the anniversary of Galaga was coming up at that time. And of course, Galaga was a major game for Namco. And so, in a way, Star Fox Assault is a backhanded anniversary project for Galaga because the Aperoids are based off of the Galaga aliens from the Galaga arcade.
You'd think that they would include Galaga's unlockable game in Star Fox Assault, but no, Xevious instead.
Yeah, well, you would also think that they would have included Starblade, since Starblade was a Namco arcade as well.
Isn't that 3D?
Yeah.
It might have been tougher to emulate back then.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah. Now, interesting enough, they ran into some development difficulty later on. And one of the first they strongly considered of scrapping the campaign for Assault altogether and make it strictly a multiplayer only game with maybe just a couple of like co-op levels as a kind of a peace offering. But yeah, they strongly thought about cutting the single player campaign for Assault because it was just that much of an afterthought in the development of the game.
Yeah, that would have been a bad call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially back then. The GameCube already didn't have many online capabilities. I think only Phantasy Star Online used them. So it's like making a local multiplayer game around that time. It's like it probably wouldn't have caught on that much. You need some kind of single player offering. I'm glad that Final Game got that campaign.
I mean, it's a 2001 console, so maybe that's kind of. That's kind of
PS2 and Xbox was already
inevitable.
going to online.
Yeah. One of the funny things is Imura actually talked about originally he wanted Andros to be the main villain of Assault again, to be like a surprise villain again, like they did in Adventures. But
I'm surprised the third time.
Okay, how the hell would he have been able to do that? Like
I think, logic.
Well, you see, Imura's opinion is that he felt like that gamers really like Andros as a villain, and he felt like that Andros could be Star Fox's version of Ganondorf. And he felt like that, because Imura had worked on several Zelda games, and he said that one of the things was that Japanese gamers were always like trying to like theory craft or like speculate where Ganondorf was going to show up in whatever Zelda game was being worked on. And so he thought it'd be fun to do the same kind of thing with Star Fox games, to always keep people guessing and like what way how Andros would like show up in this particular game or story or whatever, or how would he be involved in some way. And I think he kind of pitched that like maybe the Aperoids were going to be like some sort of like leftover like bioweapon that Andros had created during the Lilat War or whatever. But for whatever reason, Namco hated the idea, and so they rejected that and wanted to make the Aperoids their own unique nemesis.
Good.
Rise of Skywalker before Rise of Skywalker.
Somehow, Andros returns.
Yeah. Now, one of the other interesting things was that Imura felt like it was absolutely important for Crystal to be in the game, and he actually like worked really hard on figuring out how to incorporate Crystal into the cast of Star Fox Assault. And he also actually was the one that wrote and designed like a lot of the ideas for the Saria mission. The Saria mission was actually one of the last missions to make it into Assault. And I think it's actually one of the best levels in the game. And but it was a very, very late addition into the game. There was the inclusion of Crystal and the Saria level. Because, well, in a way, Assault and Adventures kind of were almost concurrent at one point in terms of development, and so they overlapped a little bit. But yeah, that's all the interesting background trivia stuff. Oh, and another funny thing was at one point they were going to give Fox a motorcycle in this game as a drivable vehicle and also a hoverboard.
It looks like Link and Samus beat it too. Am I right?
Yeah. So, with all that background stuff out of the way, I know I kind of talk a lot about trivia and stuff. Opinions on Assault.
Surprisingly
This is one of
short.
those- yes. This is one of those games that it's like, I wish I played through the entire thing, but I only played a few levels. But I definitely want to play it fully, probably on an SO, whenever I get to Switch 2 and play on there, because Assault just has so many good things going for it. One of my opinions regarding Star Fox as general is that its main genre, on the shooter, I'm gonna be a little bit of. It's unfortunate to think that unreal shooters are just not really that popular in the mainstream nowadays. So if Star Fox wants to get more popular and evolve with the times, it should incorporate something else alongside the R-Wing sections. And I think this game went about it the best way by having Fox McCloud on foot shooting weapons at the asteroids. And I think the controls, while a little bit tank-like, it was like, this is probably not the best idea. It's a solid idea, and combine that with an amazing orchestral soundtrack, and you got yourself probably my ideal Star Fox game.
I 100% agree with RinoDino here. I mean, this will be kind of an unpopular opinion, but I think story-wise, this is the peak of the franchise because it was very heavy with story and music. I mean, no one, and I mean absolutely no one, expected Peppy to actually pull a Independence Day move and actually try to get over the asteroid's defense and potentially kill himself. I mean, Slippy cried for crying out loud. No one could have actually expected that, but they actually subverted their typecasting. Like, not typecasting per se, but up to that point, people thought, okay, it's a Space Furries game about shooting and stuff. There's not that many heavy stuff, but they actually made some heavy stuff in this. They almost made Peppy sacrifice himself and then come back at the end, and part of my heavy dislike towards Command is because it ruined that tiny little cutscene after the credits. I love that cutscene. I really, really, really love it because, Peppy comes back and says, I knew I should have, I might have retired after this or whatever. And Crystal just saying thoughtfully, like, so many people have died, even though Peppy surviving proves that everybody else has survived. And now I know that Panther is a popular character, but I've never been a fan of Johnny Bravo-like characters, those that try to steal the love interest because they're hot and strong and cool and whatever. But
Mama warned me about guys like you.
Oh well. But I mean, even Wolf and Leon hate the motherfucker. Like they keep like they don't actually hate him, but like to say ugh. I mean, like the nerve of that guy. But there's so many good moments in that game, like from missions, from music, and Wolf's quotes alone just cement him as an anti-hero. Like he says helpful things. He's not just saying helpful things to Fox to actually help him. He's saying helpful things to Fox so he can help extend his life, so he can actually kill him himself. And yeah, it's no secret. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I love this game.
Yeah, I definitely love this game. It is my second favorite Star Fox game behind 64. I would say a criminally underrated game, or a game that just got unnecessary backlash for, one, being a follow-up to Adventures, and two, not being Star Fox 64 again. And honestly, I think just that opinion, I don't get how many more times do we need Star Fox 64? Even if we do get it again, people don't want it again. So I don't really know what people are
I
expecting,
wish
but the fact
Shimamura
that
could hear this.
but if Star Fox Assault did something that I really appreciated, and that was implement different types of gameplay to keep it interesting. But the downside was that it's just too short and not a lot of. The only thing I wish it would have taken from Star Fox 64 was having different routes, but I wouldn't take away any of the on foot missions. Any of the other variety, I would have just still kept in. I just really wish there was different routes to be able to have that replay value. As far as, let's talk about the music for a second. An amazing soundtrack. One of the greatest orchestral soundtracks that I've heard in a game in a while. I know that's kind of a strong, bold statement, but let's be honest, the live orchestra was a real nice touch with the game. The graphics are pretty decent, very smooth, sleek, and I don't have much to say on graphics because I'm not much of a graphics person, but this game, I come back to it quite a bit because of how fun it really is. It really shows like the Star Fox team as a team. The dialogue, the team dynamics. I'll touch on Crystal just for a little bit. She really does feel like part of the team in this game, being able to. Let's be honest. I think one of the Star Fox staples is that you have to give Slippy some. You have to give him some lip because
Hell yeah.
he really does.
Hell yeah.
He does some stupid things. And even she says, like, yeah, don't get cocky. Don't be stupid. Stop doing stupid stuff. So it really just has that dynamic that I do like with the team. And Mo also brings a really good point too. The story was really entertaining, and it feels like just like any little I would say Saturday morning cartoon style of those action cartoons that we would get, and it really just was a fun time, and I absolutely adore this game.
It's funny to think about how we were talking about earlier how Crystal has more of a character in this game compared to Adventures. So, ironically enough, Star Fox Assault did not assault on our character. That's good to know.
Yes. Okay, so my opinion on this game, this is going to kind of be a little bit of a hot take, but this is I'm not the biggest fan of Star Fox Assault. I like it. I think it's a pretty decent follow up to Star Fox 64, but I just kind of feel like I don't feel like it's as good as Star Fox 64, at least in terms of it mechanically feeling. I feel like the R-Wings feel kind of slow in Star Fox Assault. I don't like how the Landmaster feels in this game. I also like I said, I do like that it is fully orchestrated. But dang, most of the music tracks just kind of blur together for me. Like whenever I think about this game, all I can ever hear is that dang like Aperoid boss theme that they play for like almost like half the bosses in this game. I really do like the story of Assault, though. I think Assault has a really good story, which is funny since it was like basically written as an afterthought for the game.
What?
But I don't know. At the time when I was originally a kid, I was kind of put off by just how dark and serious it was compared to Star Fox 64. But as I'm older now, I really appreciate it a lot more now. Funny enough, this was the game where I actually learned that Slippy was actually a guy. When I played, yeah, I originally thought Slippy was a girl.
I mean,
Slippy was the OG damsel in distress. He was the OG damsel in distress before Crystal was introduced in Adventures.
Yeah.
Ever wonder why Fox went to Titania? That's why.
Yeah.
Is Sleepy a pretty girl?
Yeah.
I want to
But,
see. I want to see someone. I want to see someone draw him with like blonde, long hair, and then a pink dress, looking like Princess Peach.
That would be
Rule
hilarious.
34 Slippy.
Oh, you're just reminding me of like Metopia, where like you can customize enemies. It's like the princess turning around, and you just see Slippy's face.
That'd be funny.
He would straight up look like
I don't
Alphys.
know, but yeah, Slippy, had a deep voice in this game, and so like when Slippy first spoke in this game, I was like, "Whoa, Slippy's a guy."
My whole life was a lie.
It's funny because I know in 64 they actually referred to him as a he multiple times throughout the game, but I just never picked up on it. But yeah. Star Fox Assault has a good story. At the time when I was a kid, I was put off by how dark it was, but I actually like it for its kind of darker tone now. The Aproids are actually pretty dang creepy in this game, especially with what happens to Pigma.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude just kind of melted into a satellite dish. But yeah, I don't know. Just
funny out of context.
yeah. But yeah. I don't know. I just don't like game feels mechanically. I just kind of feel like that the R-Wings feel so slow in this game, especially in the all range levels. Now, on foot, where you're actually like shooting on the ground, I think feels fine. But I just don't really like how the vehicles feel in this game. I don't like how the Landmaster feels, and I just don't like how the R-Wing feels. I know a lot of people will say that that's blasphemy, but that's just kind of how I feel.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, for me, the R-Wing controls were fine, and the hardest thing to control was actually the gun, because I was still on a MacBook and I had to rearrange the buttons, and the cursor itself had its own buttons, so I had to like balance it by just keep on like tapping the button just like this.
Yeah.
So it can actually point to the guy that I'm trying to shoot. It was hard.
Yeah. I will say, though, I really do like the multiplayer in this game, and I think it's kind of crazy that they didn't actually include, like, an online functionality to it. Like, it's, like, strictly offline unless, you set it up through, like, Dolphin or whatever to be online.
Yeah. Again,
But
they did not emphasize online during that generation.
yeah, but I really hope that for the Switch 2, they put Assault on the NSO, because I think it would do incredibly well on the NSO.
Hell yeah.
I hate to put in here real quickly. I do have to head out. So I had a fun time talking with every single one of you, and I hope you have a good rest of the episode.
Oh, thank you. Well, I hope you have a good night, Zero. I hope you got to cover most of the games that you wanted to cover tonight. Thank you for joining us. And I hope
absolutely.
This was a blast having you.
Thank you so much, Zero. We had a fun time having you here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, have a good night, everybody.
Night.
Night.
Yeah.
I'm staying so I can slander Command real quick.
Yeah. So Assault, I think has really good multiplayer, and I think that it has a really good single player mode storyline. I just feel like that it could have felt a little bit more like Star Fox 64 in terms of actually gameplay mechanics, because everything just feels slower and heavier, and not in a fun way. But I do really like some of the interesting directions they went with some of the characters. I think making Starwolf more of like anti-heroes is kind of interesting. And I do
anti-heroes.
Yeah. And I do like Crystal's characterization in this game. I think it's a pretty serviceable direction that they took her character in this game after basically having nothing to work with in Adventures.
Yeah.
Also, funny enough, this is actually the only game outside of like the Dinosaur Planet build that she actually displays telepathic abilities.
Oh.
Yeah.
What kind of telepathic abilities does she have?
Well, she basically senses the Aproids on Saria, and also Yeah, and also since there's several other things at several other points in the game.
Okay. That is something.
They like in Command, they just gave her like one little line because they actually forgot she has telepathic abilities.
That's because in
She was cursed.
Yeah.
That's a good fucking joke.
Yep.
I actually came into Assault primarily through the multiplayer. I sunk hours into the multiplayer for that game with my buddies. And I kind of have to agree with you, Sonny, that like this is where I would want the Star Fox series to go with that multiplayer aspect designed right out of the gate, because that to me, even way back then, gave me the glimpse of what Star Fox could be even back in those early days. And I'm just like, even with the iterations that came after, I'm like, well, you kind of miss an opportunity to do something pretty great with that. But so much time was spent, really good times with friends playing multiplayer in that game for sure.
Mm-hmm. So, any further thoughts on Star Fox Assault?
Got nothing more to add. Just that you should play it. It's good. It's pretty good.
Okay. What is everybody's favorite level in the game before we move on?
I can't say for certain because I've only played the first few, so I'll get back
I'm
to you.
sorry,
on
what
that
was the
one.
question? I'm sorry, what was the question? I had to mute because I had to take care of a certain problem.
Oh, no, that's fine. Basically, any closing thoughts? Favorite level, favorite boss, favorite moment, or anything like that. And if you recommend the game.
Well, it would be easy. Well, it would be easy for me to say the. So you can go on your honeymoon scene is like my favorite, but that would be too easy to say. I think I can pick a more favorite scene. I guess I can go with the cutscene after credits because I enjoy like the theatrical ending of the music that it accompanies the scene, and just Fox saying thank you for, he gets lobotomized and then fucks everything up and the team disbands.
Thank you for playing my game. Now I'm gonna die now.
So for me, I'd say probably my favorite level in the game is either the Corneria level or the Saria level. I think my favorite music track is the Saria music track. And I think the multiplayer is really good. Gameplay is okay, but I would definitely, if anybody likes the Star Fox franchise, this is definitely a must play.
Yeah,
by far.
I forgot to say my favorite level is the one where Star Wolf shows up that I forgot to name.
Sargasso.
Sargasso.
All right, so I guess we'll go ahead and move on to Star Fox Command. Now, a little bit of background on Star Fox Command. Dylan Cuthbert, after Star Fox 2 got canceled, he left both Nintendo and Argonaut to go work for Sony of America to basically help train people in how to use the 3D hardware of the PlayStation. Eventually, in the early 2000s, he left Sony to form his own company, and he created both tech demos and games for the Sony PlayStation and also for the Game Boy Advance. And
that's Sony 3 we're talking about, right?
What's it?
That's the PlayStation 3 we're talking about, right?
No, the PlayStation 1.
Oh.
Yeah. And so, although he did do some tech demos for the PlayStation 3. You are right on that part, but that's later.
Yeah, because I thought we were in 2005. I didn't know we were doing a flashback.
Well, just a brief one, just to kind of get everybody up to speed. So anyway, in the mid-2000s, with Cuthbert's company, he got approached by Miyamoto. They were looking for developers to work on games for the Nintendo DS. And he had a really good working relationship with Cuthbert, and so he wanted to reach out to him to see if he'd be interested in making some games for the DS. And Miyamoto felt really bad that Star Fox 2 never got officially released, and so as kind of a gift or whatever, he actually gave Cuthbert the final build of Star Fox 2 as a gift for his own personal keeping. And
Pretty
he
good
asked,
save.
yeah. And he asked Cuthbert if he would be interested to make a new Star Fox game for the DS. And Cuthbert was absolutely on board with it because he loved making Star Fox and Star Fox 2 on the Super Nintendo. And now that he was his own boss, his own company, he was really eager to make a new Star Fox game. And most of the people at Q Games, which was the name of his game company, were Star Fox fans. And one of the other interesting things was Q Games actually had a partnership with one of the big game design schools in Japan. And so a lot of the graduates would get their first jobs at Q Games. So you had veterans work there. You had a lot of new up and coming people working there. And of course, you had Cuthbert running the company. And like I said, a vast majority of the people at Q Games were Star Fox fans. And so when they learned that they were going to be making the next Star Fox game, they were absolutely excited for it because they felt like that this game of theirs will be a love letter to the franchise. And so they created a tech demo for Star Fox DS, and they had a single level of it where basically the R-Wing had to fly up and into a space elevator and had to fight a bunch of Venom robots or whatever that were trying to destroy this big huge space elevator that was on Corneria. And they presented the tech demo to Nintendo. Nintendo liked it, Miyamoto liked it, but he said that this feels too much like Star Fox 1. And we felt like that we've already done all that we could with this traditional on-rails formula. Why don't you make it more like Star Fox 2? Since that's never been officially released, nobody's ever experienced that type of gameplay. Make it more like Star Fox 2. And so they did. So they redid the game from the ground up to be more strategic, to have a lot more of the Star Fox 2 kind of elements. They brought on board Imamura, and Imamura was basically given creative control in terms of the art design and the writing for the game. And so Imamura decided to revise, to bring back his old concept of the 64 version of Star Fox Adventures, have this game story to be like the end point of Fox's career. And so, yeah, they wrote the story out beginning to end. And Cuthbert at this time had played Star Fox Assault, and he felt like that one of the biggest problems with Star Fox Assault was it's too linear. There was no branching paths or whatever. And so he told Imamura, you need to go back and rewrite the plot for Star Fox Command with more replayability in mind, to actually have branching paths and stuff. And so Imamura did that. So in order to facilitate branching paths, he kind of stumbled upon the idea of, how about we rework the story where Fox has to basically get the band back together and let players, kind of go through the game with well, does he get the band back together, or maybe it doesn't come together? Maybe he just teams up with Starwolf instead, or all these other combinations. They were very much inspired by choose your own adventure books. And of course, the branching path options that Star Fox 64 had. And so that's kind of the development of Star Fox Command. They also felt like it was important to also include multiplayer. And Star Fox Command was one of the first Nintendo games to ever actually have Wi-Fi, a Wi-Fi multiplayer option.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And yeah. And here's the thing. Cuthbert, to this day, says of all the Star Fox games he's ever worked on, working on Star Fox Command was his favorite of all of his experiences of working on any of these games. And he still, to this day, will sign autographed copies of Star Fox Command and will give it away as gifts to people.
Cool.
So
Awesome.
There's actually autographed copies of Star Fox Command out there that are signed by Dylan Cuthbert. He has a
But no
lot of
one's
love
willing to pay them.
I've had the opportunity to actually chat with him very briefly at a networking conference, and I remember him saying how surprised he was just like everyone else, when they had finally released Star Fox 2, not knowing it was like preserved after all of this time. But he was surprised about how the game was still getting so much buzz after years and years of him passing since he made it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is everybody's opinion on Star Fox Command?
Okay, I'll start so I can actually go to sleep because it's actually 3:30 a.m. as I'm actually talking.
Oh, dang.
So no, it's fine. I wouldn't be joining if I couldn't. So, oh boy, where do I start with this? Now look, gameplay wise, it's okay. I mean, it took me a while. It kind of broke my hand because I had to use like the mouse to actually like spin and drive the R wings around. That I will say though, giving each character their own designed R wing with its various features is actually a pretty good move. It's a nice touch, and it tells what it tells about the characters. However, I did not like the fact that I actually broke my hand when I was doing the constant spinning, so I can actually blow up the main like floating thing.
So the mothership.
The mothership. Yeah, the mothership. Now, this is gameplay-wise. Gameplay-wise, okay. The game's okay. It's good. It's good for a DS game. I like the atmosphere of the gameplay. Story-wise, I think I said what it needs to be said. No. I think I could say what everyone else had said. But my most repeated quote of Fox and Crystal's relationship in this game, and one which I said to Sunnyside when I first met him, was, "It's like someone tried to remake Casablanca and failed." You know, the 1942 movie?
Yes.
I watched it.
Yeah. Look, the only character that was actually kind of okay in this game was Falco. I mean, it's really hard to sabotage Falco as a character because who doesn't love Falco at this point? But
Hands off my cock.
huh?
You don't know the joke?
Yeah, I got it.
I don't know. I'm kind of slow on this stuff. But however, I did like the ending. I did like the multiple endings the game could give, but some of them were less credible to me than others. But I think I am with the majority that Goodbye Fox is the best ending in in what is possible. I did not like the main ending where Crystal just leaves because, oh, I gotta be with Panther, please, and whatever, and then I don't know why, but when I first played the game, I was like, did Imamura just suddenly hate Fox or something? Because after she runs away, it says like, and Fox goes alone and unloved. I mean, is that really necessary?
Write commands?
I mean, is that
No, you produce it,
really
but
necessary?
that's it. Yeah.
Okay, but I don't know. That line was really unnecessary. I don't know, but that line was unnecessary. So I'm with the majority that Goodbye Fox is the best ending that this game offers, and it's also what is actually kind of intended from the very beginning. You know, Fox retires, marries Crystal, gets his little baby boy Marcus, and props him on his head and just plays with him and gets like sunglasses just like his old man, and then that boy grows up, tracks Falco Lombardi, and Falco is now the new Peppy of the team, and life goes on. So yeah, that's basically my
the
opinion.
series can reboot itself. Oh wait.
Don't give them ideas, please.
Yeah.
I will say this really quick. I haven't not played Commands. I'm slightly interested in it, but it has so much silly stuff. And to be honest, I'll be fucking real. It is late for me. I want to get to 0 because I have a lot of memories with that one. So yeah.
Yeah, we haven't talked
Carlos,
about
any thoughts, or what is your opinion on the game?
As far as the basic gameplay for Command was concerned, it felt like a Star Fox version of Rogue Squadron, and I was all for that.
Yeah. Okay. That's for me. Star Fox Command is like the X-Men 3, the last stand of the franchise. It has some good ideas. It does some interesting things, but it's kind of a mess. I find I've played it a few times. I have yet to find a way that I really like playing it. It's I thought the game is boring. I'm sorry. I just find the game.
Cook 'em.
Yeah, I just find the game boring. It's one of the few Star Fox. It's the only Star Fox game that's ever put me to sleep because it is so repetitive. It's just the same few missions over and over again. I actually
like 358 Days Over 2.
Yeah, I'm actually more engaged by the soap opera storyline and the cutscenes than the actual levels themselves. It's like if
the soap opera.
Yeah, I mean, if they had just turned this game into a full like visual novel, I think I would have had a lot more fun with it. Yeah,
my favorite gameplay: pressing a button over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very ambitious game, and it's actually a pretty good looking game. I just think that some of its parts are better than the whole that it made. And I feel bad about that because I think there is clearly a lot of love that Cuthbert and his team put into this game. I mean, if you ever hear them talk about this game, they absolutely had a blast making this. And I know that Amura really put a lot of heart and soul into actually writing the story for this because this was the first time since Star Fox 64 he actually had full creative control when it came to its story. And it's just, I just don't think it turned out as well as it could have. And also to compound that, this was one of the first games that got translated by Nintendo Treehouse, which was Nintendo of America's brand new internal translation team that had formed around this time. And I think Nintendo Treehouse did not do a good translation of this game. I mean, sure, it was like one of their first ones that they had ever done. But I think the changes that they made to the script usually were for the worse. Not that the original script was like this hidden gem or masterpiece or whatever, but I think it turned what was already kind of a weak script into a bad script.
Mr. M moment.
Yeah.
It turned it into the room.
You're tearing me apart, Crystal. I did not get you. I did not. Why, Falter?
I don't like sand.
But
it's coarse, rough, and irritating.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I there's actually a lot of things in the story I really do like. Like I like a lot of the concepts that it brings up. Like I actually generally like the idea of exploring that maybe Andros might have not been a bad guy at one time. He just went insane. I also kind of like the ideas of like what some of the characters do to move on. Like I actually really enjoy like the G0 ending where Fox and Falco go off to be racers. I actually think that that's a pretty fun ending, even if the way to get there isn't so much. But I don't know. I just like the idea of like Falco being like, "Hey, Fox, let's quit this mercenary business and let's become racers." And they do, and they make a career out of it. I actually thought that was a funny way to end it. And I just kind of feel like that there's a lot of elements of what could be a good story here. It's just put together the wrong way. Mm-hmm. And maybe back when it was just a linear game, maybe it would have been told more coherently or would have been told better. But, taking what was originally a linear story and trying to make it non-linear obviously did not turn out well. Of course, Dylan Cuthbert himself even says that that Imamura nearly had a nervous breakdown trying to write the plot of Command, just because he had a hard time keeping track of all the branching paths and trying to keep everything consistent, and just just trying to write so much stuff to fill in the various different paths and stuff for the game. So I just think that it was basically. While Star Fox Adventures was a game that suffered a death by 1,000 cuts, I think Star Fox Command was a game that basically suffered from a lot of bad creative decisions that just compounded on top of each other.
I do want to just mention one thing before we move on. Star Fox Command has this mode where you can speak into your microphone, and then your voice gets gargled, and then it becomes like the new voice for the characters. So you can make your voice like and then it becomes so the characters start talking like Banjo-Kazooie characters. That's I call this the same name Some Call Me Johnny did. Star Fox Belchon Command.
Yeah. So now one of the interesting things was that when Command got done, Dylan Cuthbert and Nomura actually wanted to immediately follow up with another Star Fox game on the DS. And in their interview shortly after the game's release, they actually talked about what some of their ideas were. They talked about possibly doing a Star Fox Command 2 with Marcus. They talked about possibly doing a Star Fox prequel with James McCloud. They also talked about maybe doing a game that would be set like 100 years in the future with maybe a different character that looks identical to Fox. But is actually like Fox's like great grandson or whatever, and it'd be like a big twist in the game or something like that. They actually had to do an immediate follow up to Command, but given Command's less than stellar performance, those plans were put on pause. And they did eventually get the green light for that James McCloud prequel, but due to a limited development time, that prequel got turned into Star Fox 64 3D. And since we already covered 64, we'll move past that and talk about Star Fox Zero. One last thing.
Oh, yeah.
Do you recommend Star Fox Command?
My reaction is the same thing that I said earlier.
Well, okay. I mean, if you're a guy who wants to see Star Fox as it is, all good sides, all bad sides, all mediocre sides, all okay sides, I guess you could go around and do it. Just watch out for your wrist.
I would say that still check it out, especially if you're a fan of the Rogue Squadron series. I feel that even with the repetitive gameplay, I mean, the Rogue Squadron games had repetitive levels too, of course. So that didn't really bother me as much. But, I mean, Wi-Fi, multiplayer, I mean, technology-wise, it was still a good title.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, now we'll move on to Star Fox Zero.
I have a lot of memories with this one because, truth be told, this is the first Star Fox game I ever played back during my Wii U days. And
I'm going to let you guys take over from here, though, because I just have to get my little one some dinner at this point. But I appreciate hopping in and at least chatting for a bit about Star Fox.
Okay.
All right.
It was a pleasure. I hope you had fun.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us.
All right. So my thoughts on Star Fox series that, the Wii U was the first Nintendo home console I got. I had a DS, but I didn't get that many games on it. And for Star Fox Zero, I remember I did ask it for my Christmas in 2016. And I'll say this right now, I only got Zero. I never played Guard, so I have no opinions on that. Besides that, Five Nights at Freddy's, Five Nights at Sleepy's. But for Zero itself, I played the game so much. I did all the routes. I tried to get all the medals, but I only got 90% of them. I think I missed a few because there was some that were just locked behind high scores and I just couldn't get. But because of how much I played Zero, I actually have a fondness to it, even in spite of the weird controls that I will admit eventually I got used to. Now, will I get used to again whenever I replay the game? Eventually, but it was one of those. In a way, it reminded me of an arcade title, where, especially something like Daytona USA, where I know the controls are different, but it's one of those games where it takes a while for you to master, but when you master it, it feels really good. Now, I don't like that Star Fox series makes me look up and down like an idiot, potentially hurting my neck, but
you're fine.
The intention is there. And even though I don't like that Star Fox series of fucking reboots, and I don't like that Star Fox Zero basically killed the series with its lack of originality. I do appreciate returning, bringing back some Star Fox 2 stuff, but you needed more. You really needed more. It has a lot of good stuff. I like the presentation just fine. I like the music is really good. And overall, I I have fond memories. Of course, I do now prefer 64 more. Just I can control it well from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And Assault, I definitely wanted to play for it because it looks like the most interesting Star Fox title. But Star Fox Zero is one that I have a lot of memories with from my time playing it, and that's why I it's hard for me to recommend it because it's one of those. Are you willing to put up with the Wii U Game Pass? If you are, then absolutely play it. If not, then play Star Fox 64 instead. So yeah.
Well,
Okay. Okay. I have to actually correct myself here because Star Fox Zero was actually the last Star Fox game I did play because I actually played it very recently. I'm talking like 5 months ago. But compared to like 2 years ago when I first started with Star Fox 64 and the rest of the games. I actually played Star Fox Zero only 5 months ago, and the reason why is because I got my Steam Deck. I got a Steam Deck, and I had the fortune. I had the opportunity to actually emulate the game, and actually try the dual screens. A lot of people asked me like how were you able to do that? And it was just a simple button that you can actually map, so you can switch between the Wii U screen and the actual screen that you actually play in. It was actually more fun. It was actually more fun than I thought. I mean, like I did see a playthrough of the entire game beforehand, back in 2023 when I first got into Star Fox, because I thought I would never be able to actually play the game. But despite of that, when I did play the game, it turned out to be more fun than I imagined. Sure, it did not revive my Star Fox phase, but it was actually a very good experience. I liked the graphics. I liked the remastered music. I liked the remastered story. I mean, yeah, it's the same told story, but there's like tiny differences. It's like a remake of it is a remake, but it's actually like a sort of reboot, but not reboot in the sense of like, oh, they're gonna destroy the original source material. No, not really. I mean, you have like two of the same voice actors. Mike West returned for Fox. Lisa Brown returned for Slippy. Rest in peace, Rick May. He actually died before this, but and after this shortly. But just like I said, I don't remember there being like a complete remaster of everything. Like some locations did get changed in terms of functionality. Like Titania had these spider-like things that you had to shoot from the bottom, or something like that. The Andros fight, though, is really, really perplexing. Like, it took me like probably 10 tries and 2 hours to actually beat him, because even by that point, it was hard for me to change between an R-wing and the walking R-wing. The one that walks like a chicken, and the walker. But it was actually more fun than I thought, and Miyamoto was right. It was fun. So, and yeah, the remaster, and just like I said, the remastered version of the music is worth listening to, and actually made the game more engaging than it already is. I also got to experience it in 4K, even though the Wii U didn't have a 4K, and Jetaro 6 actually is the one who actually introduced me to that idea. So yeah, it was a very, very, very pleasant experience. More than I actually anticipated. So yeah, this is my opinion about it.
Well, for me, I love the presentation of Star Fox Zero, but I think it's definitely a game that's more fun to watch than actually play. Now, to be fair, I think mechanically it's a little bit better than the mechanics of Command, but it does run into some of the same issues where it's like they make it an actual chore to actually play the game. But at least it's not boring. It's not boring. It's pretty fun. But and I think it's definitely a game you can actually can get really good at and master. It's just whether or not you want to put in that many hours to actually master its controls. So I mean, for me, if I'm going to play a Star Fox game, I'm definitely going to probably play 64 over Zero. But Zero has like some of the best production values for a Star Fox game. I mean, it has really good presentation. It's a really good soundtrack. I really like the voice acting and like some of the things that are introduced in this game. I do wish it wasn't a retelling of Star Fox 64, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And they have like almost like a weird blending between like the plot in Star Fox 1, the Super Nintendo version, and the plot of 64. It actually like brings back quite a bit of like the Super Nintendo elements from Star Fox 1 and 2 into this game. I don't know, it's just playing this game. It's like it's kind of hard to actually enjoy the game when you're playing it because you either can't shoot anything or you can shoot, but then you're crashing into everything. And so it's kind of a challenge to actually play. Now, it actually would be probably a lot more fun co-op. Unfortunately, I've never been able to experience co-op, but I know that the co-op option, one actually controls the plane and the other one shoots. And I think that'd be a lot more fun. I do wish that they had like a basic like control version where, you know, if you just want to play it like Star Fox 64, you could. I think that would have been ideal, but they just didn't do that. You actually have to kind of like, I know that Jetta 06 came up with a way to actually play it like a traditional Star Fox game, and I need to look into that sometime.
I just feel like it was designed with two screens in mind, with like that precise aiming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually played it the Wii U way. There's a way in the Steam Deck to actually sync the gyroscope with the gyro of the device with the same one that's in Cemu, the Wii U emulator. So I was able to actually play it in the Wii U way, but even though at times it was fun, like in the first level of in Corneria, it was actually pretty fun, but in Andros's level, it was really frustrating. I had to literally like duck the deck itself so I can actually shoot at the motherfucker.
Yeah. Like I said, I do enjoy the game. It's kind of just a little bit of a challenge to play it. I will say that obviously not everybody on Nintendo was on board with the controls of this game. That was actually part of the reason why they made this into a reboot, because the people were concerned that if the game was too unfamiliar, people wouldn't want to play it. So they specifically decided to make it a reboot just to give some sort of familiarity to the audience so they'd be more on board with the experimental control scheme.
Oh, that was controversial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they felt like that they had to play it safe with this game. Like we were going to be so experimental with this gameplay, we have to play it safe with the story. So let's do a retelling of Star Fox 64. That way the audiences would be more on board with that and they'll be more comfortable with this game. As it turned out, that probably had the opposite effect. But that's kind of like the same thing with Command, where that was intended to be a love letter to the franchise, and it was more like a Dear John letter. But yeah, I do like the game. I really wish that at some point it would get like a remastered re-release for like the Switch, or at this point the Switch 2.
It would need to be reworked to hell and back.
Yeah, but they managed to do Wonderful 101 and that was tailor made.
games.
Yeah,
I think we have to wait for Nintendo itself to actually grow a brain. Then we can wait. Then we can wait for that to happen.
that's true. Maybe they'll grow a
You think
brain
Star
as
Fox
big
Zero has a
danger.
lot of sales potential? I don't think so.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, I don't have too many thoughts on Zero. I like it. I just wish that it was more playable. I do have fun with the Hovermaster. I love playing with the Hovermaster because that thing moves on a dime and feels really good to control.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of fun with the controls. Do you guys have any favorite levels, bosses, or vehicles that are in Zero?
I like that level. I like that level with the. God, I keep forgetting the names of these things. The green ship with direct eye. The one with the fans. Like.
Yeah. It's I think that's like the what is that called?
Yeah, the one with direct eye, where you just drop him down and says analysis in progress, or whatever he says.
Yeah,
and, he just fixes stuff.
Yeah, I gyro ring. That's what it's called, the gyro ring.
Gyro ring. Yeah, that was a very nice level, in terms of color, in terms of what you did, in terms of what you do, and it was nice to see Miss Monroe again.
Yes. And what about you? Any favorite levels, vehicles, or whatever?
For me, can't really remember anything on top of my head outside of the Walker because I found the Walker funny.
My favorite level, and this probably shows you how little I've actually played the game, but so far, I have not beaten this. My favorite level so far is actually the training mode. I like. I like how the training mode is set up, and I like just flying around that training mode level with the Grav Master or the Hover Master or whatever it's called.
You mean the one with all the blue? You mean the one with all the blue tiles?
Yes.
So your favorite level is the one where there's nothing going on? Are you serious?
Well, I mean, that way you don't have to worry about having to shoot stuff while trying to maneuver.
So
or maybe because it reminded you of Metal Gear so much.
That is true. It looks very much like a VR missions map.
Wait a minute. Your favorite level.
I want to thank Little Big Planet for informing me of this.
So your favorite level is the one where you interact with the game the least?
Yeah. All right. So, moving on from Star Fox Zero. One other funny thing is, I actually bought Star Fox Zero in a store, brand new. It was on clearance at a GameStop, and I actually held on to that copy for like 3 or 4 years before I ever actually had a Wii U. I actually had Star Fox Zero before I had a Wii U.
Neat. Kind of like how I have TK Bonanza, but I don't have a Switch 2 yet.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Star Fox Guard. I imagine this will be pretty quick, but anybody here play Star Fox Guard?
I have not touched it. I have not seen it. I have not, the only thing I know I like about it, and the only thing I know about it, is that cover with Slippy and his uncle just freakishly playing the game.
Yes. To be fair, I actually thought that you actually played as Slippy in this game, but actually you don't. It's just that Slippy's heavily involved in the plot. You're actually playing as some unnamed employee, and Slippy basically becomes like your best friend over the course of the game, which is actually kind of endearing in a way. But yeah, you work for Slippy's uncle's company, and there's like a whole bunch of robberies going on. And it turns out that Pigma Dangar is actually the one behind the robberies, and he's actually like the main villain in the game. Of course. Yeah, it's actually kind of fun to actually have Pigma as the main villain for once. And yeah, it's pretty much like a tower defense game, but with like some FNAF type mechanics, where you're looking at different cameras. I actually probably played this a little bit more than Star Fox Zero because it actually plays better. But I haven't beaten this game yet either. But It's fun. I enjoy playing it from what I have played.
So if it's kind of like FNAF, what are the jump scares that are in it?
The jump scares is if you're not paying attention and the robots are about to steal all the precious metals.
At the game over screen.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Of
a very
course you-
big scare. Game over scares me. It's so much. It terrifies me. It made me shit my pants.
Yeah. So I'm kind of glad that Star Fox Guard exists. I mean, it's not going to move the dial for anyone. But yeah, and I also like that it was bundled with Star Fox Zero. Because you're getting 2 games for the price of 1. So to sum up, Star Fox Zero and Star Fox Guard, would you guys recommend either of these games?
Before I say
like Five
anything.
Nights at Freddy's.
One at a time. Reno, you start first.
Okay, sorry.
Star Fox Zero, I recommend if you're interested in a different take of Star Fox 64 and you're willing to put up the controls. For Star Fox Guard, if you want a less scary Five Nights at Freddy's.
That rhymes.
Yes.
Anyways, God, what was I gonna say? But before I say anything, I think it's kind of ironic that the least popular member of Star Fox is actually the one who got a spin-off game.
Yes.
Not Crystal, not Falco, definitely not Peppy, Slippy. But
Yes.
But anyways, about Zero, yeah, go play it if you can. That's it.
Yes. All right. Now we're down to the last game on this list. Starlink Battle for Atlas.
Me.
Oh.
Me.
This
Yeah,
is
me.
actually the game I actually most wanted to play, but I've never played because I actually keep chickening out of it because I don't know how much Star Fox is in it because I'm not really interested in seeing Ubisoft characters, to be honest with you.
Actually, I found there to be a pretty good amount of Star Fox in it. You can play through the whole game from beginning to end as Fox McCloud, and he pretty much has like unique dialogue for all of like the Ubisoft content. So if you just want to play as Fox McCloud from the game beginning to end, it'll be a Fox McCloud experience. There's never any like real point in the game where it's like Fox has like nothing to say or do. I mean, sure, you can tell. I mean, yeah, you can tell that there's going to be story stuff that's going to focus more on like the human characters. But I felt like the integration of Star Fox into the game was pretty good. I thought it was a pretty good integration into the plot of Starlink.
Yeah, but how much are they involved? How involved are they in it?
Well, they reanimated all the cutscenes to include them in it. They were given unique dialogue for all the basic, all the main missions of the game. And also there's exclusive missions exclusively for Fox & Co. that involve Wolf. And Star Fox themselves actually were given DLC with a secondary campaign that kind of piggybacks off the plot of the main game and is given like a dozen new missions. And also has a playable Falco, playable Slippy, and a playable Peppy.
I actually really love how they look in this game. Like, they look absolutely stunning, even more than Crystal. If I had to be daring to say that.
I think they look incredible in this game. I will say, this game was actually part of the reason why I actually bought a Switch. Funny enough, this was also one of the first games I bought.
Good reason.
Yeah, this was also one of the first games I bought for the Nintendo Switch. And I bought the physical version, which comes with the R-Wing and a little Fox figure.
Oh.
Yeah. Interesting enough, a little bit about the development history of this game. Originally, Activision and Toys for Bob approached Nintendo about including Fox McCloud and the Star Fox team as Skylanders for the Skylanders franchise. Nintendo turned that idea down, and then they immediately turned around and approached Ubisoft, who was working on their Starlink game, and they saw the Starlink game and was like, we would like to include Fox McCloud in this game. Could you do it? And they were like, yeah, sure.
I think they dodged a bullet because Activision doesn't seem to handle anything it touches like in a good way.
Mm-hmm. And,
have you heard about this latest news where Steven Spielberg actually wanted to make a Call of Duty movie with the help of Activision, but they turned him down because he would take so much control for as a part of his like Spielberg contract.
I remember hearing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I really liked Starlink Battle for Atlas. This basically was the game that got me into Star Fox again because for me, I never played Command when it originally came out, and I didn't have a Wii U, so I didn't experience Zero. So for me, the last Star Fox game I had played was Assault back in like 2005. And so for me to get back into Star Fox again with Starlink Battle for Atlas, with it mostly being like some of the original voice actors again, and with Star Wolf basically acting like how they did back in 64 and stuff, and all the characters, it really felt like I kind of returned home. It was really a lot of fun, and I actually really like how they are written in this game. I feel like of all the Star Fox games outside of 64, this is the game where both Star Wolf and Star Fox are given the most personality and just the banter and dialogue with they have each other. Now, I know I'm probably praising this game a lot, and I know a lot of people are very dismissive of this game because, yeah, it is an Ubisoft game, and yeah, it was kind of a failed Toys for Life experiment. But the people that worked on the Star Fox content, I think, did a really good job, and I feel like they are well integrated into Starlink. That if you wanted to play it, reimagine it as a Star Fox game, you can. And I really like the Star Fox DLC in this game because Wolf is actually like the main villain for once. And they actually, I thought they did a pretty decent job of trying to make Wolf a main villain. I know a lot of people who are fans of like the more anti-hero Wolf from Assault really, really do not like his characterization in this game. But as somebody that liked like his more evil characterization in 64, I felt like it lined up pretty well for me.
Probably the only time where I'll say Andrew looks good. And also probably the only time we'll say Falco looks hotter than Crystal.
Yeah, probably. Although they did give Falco eyeliner in Assault. He kind of has like an eyegloss in that. I'll also say that this is also another game where Pigma is absolutely sadistically evil in it, because one of the levels in Starlink, he lures you inside an asteroid, and it traps you inside that asteroid, and there's like some rocket engines built into like, it's like a big like jump drive or whatever, and he plans on like firing up this jump drive and slingshotting this asteroid into smashing into a planet to kill you and also to create like a planet-wide calamity for that planet. And he's like going to absolutely sit back and is going to like watch that planet get destroyed, and it's like, say bye-bye to that planet. And it's like, he is like so evil in that scene. And that kind of stood out to me. And also, there's a lot of really good remixes of Star Fox music in Starlink. A Star Wars theme gets remixed a couple of times in the game. There is also a remix of Boss B in the game, and also the first level of Star Fox Assault, the Armada theme, the Battle Armada theme, gets remixed as the final boss for the Star Fox DLC when you fight Wolf again, where he has a command of a whole battleship.
Well, this is nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would definitely, at least for me, I would definitely recommend giving Starlink a try if you can, especially since you could probably buy the game incredibly cheap these days. But I know it's not for everybody because it still has some of the Ubisoft stuff in it. But I would recommend doing that. Give it a try if you like the Star Fox characters and want to see them really shine in a way that they haven't in a long time. And also, in a way, it's kind of an indirect sequel to Star Fox Zero because it continues the teleportation plot line. Because it is implied that following the events of Zero, Andrew tried to carry on Andross's work by trying to continue the teleportation experiments, and that's how everybody ended up in the Starlink setting.
Oh, that's good.
Interesting.
I mean, yeah. A lot of people wanted Star Fox to be in the Switch, but this game is about as close as you can get now.
Yeah, especially now that the Switch 2 is out.
Mm-hmm. Who cares?
But yeah, so any other opinions you have on this game? Like I said, I know that you haven't played it, Mo. Reno, have you played it?
No, I've never played Starlink.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much about it. That's all the Star Fox games. Do you guys have any closing opinions?
I really I had a lot of fun with this. I actually never went on a podcast before. This is actually my very first time talking with fellow podcasters about just one subject and broadcasting it to the world. And this probably gave me a probability that maybe I'll do something like this, in the future. Maybe I'll put up my mic, maybe I put up my mic and start talking about talking about something analyzing it and all that jazz because this would be good if I don't stutter too much, but yeah, I really had fun with this. I actually never expected it to be that much fun.
This is the third time I'm doing a podcast for this, and I've done plenty of commentaries in my own YouTube channel, so I am used to stuff like this. But it was nice talking about the Star Fox series, even though I'm not as attached to this series as I am with other series. It's nice talking about it with other people, getting to know their opinions and stuff, and sharing my few memories with the series, and hopefully I can go back to this franchise and play more of the games and actually finish some of them that I want to do for a long while, like Star Fox 2 or Assault. This was nice. This is a nice podcast. I'm falling asleep.
Yeah, I know it's pretty late for everyone, and I'm going to feel bad for Lance because I think we went over what was the intended time for this. So he's going to have some difficulty paring it down to a reasonable length, but, sorry. But we had a lot to talk about when it came to Star Fox, turned out.
Yeah, I'll send you my 3 hour and 30 minutes voice file. What was his name?
Lanceroy. Send it to Lanceroy. This is technically his show. It's Retro Reloaded, and this sub series is the Pixel Panel. And so yeah, you can send it all to him. Of course, if you want to send me a copy too, you can. But I'm trying to send everything to him.
All right. I'll send it to him.
Yeah. Now to close out this podcast, I think that there's definitely a lot of love, a lot of happy memories when it comes to Star Fox. I hope that Nintendo will actually make a Star Fox game in the future. At this point, I don't care if it's another reboot or a sequel or prequel or whatever.
I would care, honestly, if it is a reboot, because I'm tired of reboots.
Yeah, well, I know that, but this point, I'd just be happy with another Star Fox game. It's been too long.
Yeah, Nintendo, just tell us that you have it in you. Make a goddamn new game. Come on. I mean, if Metroid can get a whatever the fuck, if Metroid can get a remaster, so can this. If you can release F-099, so you can you can also do it with this. I mean, just give us a pulse. I mean, tell us you got a pulse in you.
Yeah. Well, there has been some hints that there might be a Star Fox game in the works. When when Switch Sports came out, somebody data mined the game, and they found that there was a lot of unused files that were basically controls for an R-Wing and controls for a Wolfen, and
Ooh.
That was back when Switch Sports Resort came out, which was a couple of years ago. So there definitely seems like there is some sort of Star Fox project in the works, but it's never been officially announced. And it could have just been simple prototyping for all we know. I know Dylan Cuthbert has said for years now that he would love to make another Star Fox game. And he says that every few years, he actually approaches Nintendo with different types of pitches for a Star Fox game. And so it's possible that maybe one of these Star Fox pitches they'll say yes to. So if Nintendo doesn't do one internally, you might see another one from Q Games in the future.
I wonder if it'll happen before Miyamoto retires.
That's a good question. I mean, Imamura has already kind of left Nintendo. He's doing freelance stuff now. Miyamoto might retire in the near future. Of course, he's so much of a mainstay. I think what's going to happen is he'll probably stay on the payroll, but mainly just do public appearances and the like, and not actually do much actual game development stuff. I will say, despite a lot of people's mixed opinions on Miyamoto, he actually has tried to champion the Star Fox franchise, same as Amura. Sometimes it was to the franchise's detriment, but they still have been advocates for that franchise. So, for better or for worse, as long as they're there, there's always going to be somebody there to advocate for another game in that franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. We've talked about every game in the Star Fox franchise. I want to thank for this opportunity to be a guest host. I had a blast doing this, and I'm really glad to have you all as guests. Special thanks to Mo, to Reno, to Zero, and to Carlos. I'm so thankful that you guys were willing to put up with this despite the wildly different times and time zones, and of course the several reschedules we had to do. I'm thankful that you guys were all able to make it and have a good time with this. And I think I'll go ahead and end it here. So, Lance, feel free to play out the credits here in the outro.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Well, folks, that's game over for this episode of Retro Reloaded. Thanks for joining me on this retro adventure. If you loved today's trip down memory lane, then consider helping me keep the nostalgia alive by supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/retro reloaded. You'll get early episodes, bonus content, and a chance to pick the next game that we reload. Feel free to let me know your thoughts about the podcast, and until next time, keep those controllers charged.